is the Rushmore Show, where it's all about your top four and nothing more. Kirk, we are here. A very special episode tonight. Listen, we've talked about this. This is a really challenging one that I'm really kind of still chewing on a little bit. Hey, I want to say, hey, real quick, we got 12 people already. The chat's already been blowing up. We got scrolling all the way back. We got politically Christian. No, it's poetically Christian.
Here's one.
Bryce J.W. He is hyped about Jay and Mort being on today. Poetically Christian Gamer is in here. Fat Boys Gaming in 9 cents. Hey, by the way, just hit 1K subs.
Congrats, so, 1K for Fat Boy.
Congrats, dude.
Fat Boy Slim is not slim no more.
Yeah.
A lot of folks in here. Isaac in the house. Eric Anderson, who's joining the show. He's going to be on the show. That's Nerd Chapel. He's going to be on the show in May. So that's good. Lopez Drummer. Genesis in the house. Lil Timmy, our great moderator, he is number one in the house. PNX, man, they just hit like 330, which I think is a crime. That's criminal. They're so low. They've got such a great channel. And by the way, guys, if you're in here, you guys are all moderators, except I think Eric, which I'll give that here in a second. You're welcome to share your channel. Grailbound Gaming, what is up? Now, look, I have to call this one out, Andy, real quick before we get started. So that is a classic story. This is my buddy, Warren Clark. Now, Warren used to live 2 houses down from me. Ironically, Warren and I are it's been a long time since we really hung out. We talk every once in a while online. And I was in class the other day talking about fears and with my students. And Cannon was in that class, my son. And I told them a story about Warren just Friday. I haven't talked about him in so long. Warren, I guess your ears were itching because the story was we all dared Warren to jump the fence kind of like Sandlot and run across because in the backyard of his neighbor had this bulldog that we thought was the beast. His name was Gaston. And Gus, Warren was scared to death of dogs, and he ran across the fence, and this dog chased him. And this is a true story, true as could be. The dog broke the fence and chased him down the road, and started licking his face. We were like freaking out that Gus was going to eat him. But anyways, he's in here in the chat, which is crazy. I think that's everybody that's kind of.
Preacher is in here.
Keith in the house.
Barry up in here. And then also, I just want to point out real quick, little Timmy, drinking honey mustard if you like and subscribe. Are you doing that for people who like and subscribe? I don't understand that one, but okay. Yeah. Anyway.
Mountain Man, Barry in the house. Retro Tiburon in the house. So look, hey, let's get started. Talk about a lot of things. So today we are, this month has been great. A lot of things happening. We appreciate all of you for being in the chat and helping us hit our goals. And you guys know this. We're youth pastors. We are teachers. We're dads. Hello, MXS Retro. Welcome. So here's the thing. We went to 2 cons this last few weeks, and they were both fantastic. So a lot of the people in the chat were at those cons with us. And Davey was just great. It was just a really amazing time, as well as Silent Hill. Pokemon should be on the list tonight for Andy. I think that is probably a big one for him. So he is already mad at you. So hey, let's talk about this. So, we have 3 episodes left of video games today, and then next week we are welcoming Pac-Man Case and Retro Wolf. They're coming on and do underrated. This one's overrated. We're doing underrated Nintendo 64 games. Saw Pac-Man at Louisiana RetroCon. He says Matt Retro Wolf has no idea what he's talking about when it comes to 64 games, so we're gonna have to guide him along. So there's a little rivalry going on right there. And then at the end, we got RNG Gamer, which he has Retro Kart, which they roomed together at Siege. So I thought it'd be a good pick. And I was like, hey, man, you guys are buds. And he said RNG said that Keith, which is RetroCart, has no idea about hard games. He just plays Nintendo. So there's some things going on in the end. I don't know. Maybe our two guests here have a little something to chat about today, but we're talking overrated games and any console. So if you guys like that, you guys should have your list ready. This was a hard one, Andy. They're all hard, but this one was extra hard because I love so many games. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I just want to get into this episode because I'm still struggling. I'm looking at my list here and it's like bare bones here because
man. Shots fired, ladies and gentlemen. Kevin is in the chat, our historian. And,
yeah, but here's the thing. There's too much N64 hate that's happening.
He is all about this. And Andy, you were worried because I put Ocarina on the music.
It's today. Playing behind you too. I mean,
I put it behind me. I put it behind me just to build the tension. But
it's very.
Hey, let's get this thing going. Let's get this thing rolling. Let's get our friends in here, our new friends, our old friends. Thank you for being here, everybody. We're gonna do top 4, your Rushmore of, I guess, overrated games, any console. Let's do it. Well, if this is your first time here, you just saw all those things listed. We're in video game month. Music month is coming up. Movies and TV, nostalgia, sports, and food. So we're ending this up, and we're ending with 3 great shows. Overrated games. We got to bring on our guest hosts. These guys have really great channels. Their channels are things we aspire to be, and honestly, some of my favorite content to take in when it comes in the video game culture, and some of the best reviews and storytelling that I've seen on YouTube. So if you guys really love that, you're gonna love these two. Go follow them and subscribe. So first off, the original host of the show was a show that he's been chasing the Nintendo 64. So Andy, he's been chasing a Nintendo 64 collection. And look, you got to go watch the last video. I was choked up to see it. Box and manual of every North American game. That's pretty crazy. Let's welcome to the show Mort from Mort's Garage.
We caught him reading.
He's reading something. Hello.
I'm sorry. Did someone say my name?
Oh, I didn't see you there.
Hi.
What's up, Mort?
Hey, it's Rushmore time. Let's go.
Do it, man. So, Mort, man, everybody can now see that wall behind you. Tell us a little bit about you and your show and why video games, why overrated? Because you guys picked the topics. Why overrated?
Yeah, I just think I was reaching for ideas and it came to me. I'm naturally a very negative, pessimistic person. And I just felt like this is the one that we need to balance out all the nice positivity on this channel. So just something to bring it the other direction. As far as my channel, was that your question?
Yeah. What you got going on over there?
Well, I've got a YouTube channel called Mort's Garage. The channel takes a bit of a cinematic approach to the world of video game collecting and video game hunting, as well as a bit of an introspective or even psychological one, which pairs well with my background. There's just, I enjoy trying to tell a really good story. And I have found that this world of video games and video game hunting, and truly the community of people who are engaged with this as a video game community, it's gold to me. And so it was a great way in, and it has been life-changing. And that's not mincing words in terms of what it's been like to be doing this. So I've collected every North American box and manual for the N64, including a couple of specialty Japanese exclusives that are beloved as well. And I'm thrilled. I'm in the curating phase though of my collection. So I have been thinning it down and just getting to the essentials a little bit, but the N64 collection, my friends, it stays.
Nice.
Nice.
Awesome.
And well, before we jump into that, and I got so many questions, and so and whatever, we got to get our other host on, the other hostess with the mostest. So I had reached out to this guy, and Instagram, I guess, wasn't the correct way. We had been messaging, and he's like, "Man, I'm sorry, I've been real busy," and we had already had everything booked. But I had realized that you guys have crossed paths a few times, and maybe friends at least a little bit. And I said, hey, there's an opening with Mort that we can bring on another person, maybe you'd like to jump on.
Just to be clear, I said that my standard is I only want to co-host with the most handsome individual in the collecting community.
He did say that. He did.
Yeah, and you guys, you got right to it without my lead beyond that. That was it. And you're like, I know exactly who we need to have.
Yeah, I mean, I knew it. I knew well. I absolutely knew it because I see more videos from this guy than anybody on the video game world. I think he puts one out every other day, and I love his Discord. But welcome to the show, Jay from Square Pegs, man, and welcome, Jay, man. Thanks for being here, blessing what we call the Summit Squad. So our friends out in the chat. By the way, if you're new to the Summit Squad. Before Jay jumps in and says hello, thank you for being here. This is for you. So one thing we like to say about the Summit Squad is follow us along this journey. Put your top 4 overrated games along with us. You can put them all at one time if you have to go, but if you want to hang around, you can walk it with us. And we're going to go 4, 3, 2, 1. So, Jay, shout out to our friends and let them know all about your channel. Let them know why video games and why you would want to jump on with the other handsome guy with all the Nintendo 64 games.
Well, first off, thank you for, pumping my tires a little bit here, man. That is like the best ego boost I've ever gotten. Thank you so much. I got the shameless product placement here from Mort. I had to make sure that happened for this episode, but I'm Jay from Square Pegs. I'm the one without Sarah Jessica Parker, if you look me up on YouTube. But I just like to talk about games. I worked in the industry for about 10 years, worked on everything from the GameCube up to the Xbox 360 and the PS3. And I really missed talking to people about video games. And I started the channel 5 years ago, basically kind of as an exercise to work on some social anxiety. And I've turned it into meeting some of the single greatest people in the world. Mort said how incredible the community is, and it really is. I've met just the best people. It's the best creative endeavor I've ever had, and it's given me more than I could have ever hoped for.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I love that. You guys, some people think you're the nicest guy ever.
I have to agree with the community. We only do this for the community. To be honest, we started out, we were very shocked that we didn't even have one person want to watch, and we were hoping it would be our wives, but they don't even watch. So we put this thing together just to kind of hang out with each other and whoever wanted to show up. And it's been a great trip. Now that we're kind of jumping in conventions and meeting people, it has been even bigger and better because you kind of now get to see some of your YouTube heroes on the other side and be like, hey man, that guy was at, this or that convention, or we hung out and had a Coke before, before the show. And it's just kind of really fun. So I'm glad both of you guys are here and ready to roll, man. So there's a lot of people in the chat, and Square Pegs is in the chat, and he doesn't have his moderator. So throwing that at you, and Eric, you got the moderator. So
you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball.
So we flipped a coin in the back, and Mort, you won, and you decided to receive. So you are going to go first, and Jay, you're deferred, so you're going to be second. And we're going to go top 4 overrated games. Mort, since you chose this topic, what were you thinking when you were kind of curating the list? You were kind of putting this together. Most people say that this is harder than they expected when they took on the task. And I think this might be on the Rushmore of the hardest ones for me to put together. So
I did have to consult some peer-reviewed research to clarify how to properly put this together. And my criteria were as follows. Number one, first of all, I want to make something really clear. My opinions are actually closer to fact than they are to opinion. I just want to put that out on the gate just to begin with.
Good to know.
So if I say something and you disagree, it's probably because you have bad taste, is what I'm trying to say. Number two, very kidding, by the way. Number two is the big thing for me was what has sold the most, what has hit the pop culture the most, that is incredibly popular for whatever reason. That to me is a good indicator of something that's rated very highly, and I may not understand the cultural connection to it, or like I get it, but it's just not for me. So that was one thing. The other thing is just my gut feeling. I play a game that other people have said, you got to play this. And then I play it and I'm like, and so I will say this, an overrated game is not synonymous with a bad game. So just may not be for me. So that's something I want to make really clear. Again, my tastes being as superior as they are, you disagreeing with me is something I would consider you to consider, but beyond that, that would be what I want to mention.
All right, nice.
That's a good start. That's a good start. Hey, let me address Kevin and Nikki in the chat because I knew this was going to come up. Nikki, congratulations on your Eagles. That's amazing for you. You guys are now at 2. You're still chasing 4 and 3 out of 5. So, congratulations. And yeah, we lost. And I actually told everybody in my circle this is the hardest game I've seen in 5 years. So I'm used to finishing second because the Yankees got second as well. And so there's that. And my son got second in baseball. We're playing for the championship in basketball. I think he might lose because, hey, that's just how my life is going right now, getting second place. And, Jay's a Red Sox fan. I know that because he wears that stupid hat all the time.
Stupid. I think you meant beautiful.
Tiger. They got my LSU Tiger this morning.
Listen, I'm here just to
be careful.
I hope we all have.
Oh, Angels, that's adorable.
I know, isn't it great?
I'm going to consult.
I appreciate you guys being the farm team for the rest of Major League Baseball.
Yeah, I know. I mean, look, we do what we can do. We do what we can do. You know.
So Andy's actually was born and he lived for about 6 days over there by you, Mort, and his parents are from the Angels country, so he is an Angels fan. So
I'm from Orange,
Mort
California.
is a Dodgers fan because I seen him talk about that as well. Maybe not a fan, but he talked about it. And I was a little offended about that too, but I let it go.
Yeah, my mom bleeds blue, and I used to work a lot in downtown Los Angeles, and like during the Manny era, and all of the individuals I worked with were just obsessed with it. So I've got to just say by default, I wish I was more of a sports fan. I'm just generally not someone who keeps up with different teams and stuff. My brothers totally are massive Dodger fans. So it's kind of fun to have I so enjoyed the World Series this year. I thought the consecutive home runs and the sort of wildness of all of that was super fun to watch. So I loved it. But by default, I'm a Dodger fan.
In the chat, welcome back, man. I got to throw out a moderator to you too, man. Thanks for being here. Hey, and last, but let's get this show started because they're going to talk about the Chiefs and Yankees all day. The Chiefs fans today are the Patriot fans from the early 2000s. That is the number one thing that y'all have said all day because the Patriots were the best, and so are the Chiefs. So let's move on. And hey, so Mort, you're up. Rosie, we call him Roosevelt. We give him a nickname, Rosie. Okay. What is your number 4 and why?
So these are not in a very strict order, but this one I think is a good starter. My favorite game in top 10, one of my favorite games of all time is BioShock. I love it to pieces. I think it's great. The narrative was great. All the twisty things that it did was great. The world building was great. The sequel I thought had better gameplay, but the story was a letdown. And then the third one shows up, and I am super excited to get it. I pre-order it. I didn't pre-order. I was at that point where I wasn't pre-ordering games a lot anymore, but that one I was like day one for me. I bring that thing home, and I'm like, okay, the story doesn't make any sense. And it kept going and going. I was like, I truly have no concept of what's going on. Some of the gameplay was fine, but it ultimately just ended up being a really mediocre thing. And doing all the stuff in the sky was neat, But BioShock Infinite for me was just generally a letdown in the BioShock series, especially with the heights of BioShock 1. So I'm going to say BioShock Infinite is my Roosevelt, and that kind of actually fits given the game.
Nice.
So
like
here's
that
something you're going to learn about me tonight. I am so I like video games, but it's I'm like this with movies. I'm like this with music, not as much, but movies, TV, that kind of stuff. I like what I like, and I like stick to that, and I don't really branch out a lot. So like, I watch The Office and Parks and Recreation back to back to back to back to back to back, and every now and then maybe throw another one in. So it's like that with video games for me. So a lot of these kind of, I guess,
Whoa.
Hey,
Oh, no.
hey, where'd he go? There he is.
here I am. I don't know what happened there. Yeah, so I know that Nami disagreeing with you is messing up with the algorithm here, and it's messing my camera up because
Hey,
I'm
well, let me
disagreeing with
just shout
knowledge.
something out. Mort and Square Pegs, you guys just tied the highest amount of live people in the chat we've ever had with 35. So we need
That
one
works.
more.
And we're
We
just
need
getting
one more
started.
person.
Oh,
We're getting
your
started.
friend!
Back to 34. We're back. Oh, there's 35 again. So, anyways, hey, I'll shout this out. So, BioShock, Kevin mentioned it. Kevin's our video game historian. He was my best friend in 8th and 9th grade. Warren actually was my best friend in like 4th grade. So they're all in here. It's funny. But Kevin says Infinite was a huge letdown. Loved the first two. I will say this. I loved 1. I was okay with 2, and I never played 3 because I kind of stopped I stopped collecting or buying in that portion when 3 came out, and I've come back and kind of playing with my son all the old retro stuff. Haven't made it there to this yet, but it was on a lot of lists that I pulled up. Mort, you mentioned you did some research. We always do research, and when I found it, bro, I was like, yeah, that's one of those ones I haven't done. And you'll see in my criteria, I had to have played the games, so that wouldn't have made my list. It's a good pick. Where's Nightbot? Well, Barry, now that you're here, Nightbot's going to show up, so he loves you. So, anyways, Jay, what do you think about BioShock 3?
So I was ready for Infinite, man. When I saw like the original trailer and like all the print ads and stuff like that for it, like it's right up my alley. I liked the setting, I liked the design, I liked the steampunk aesthetic of it, and then I got it and I was immediately just disenfranchised with it. I just didn't care at all. I played it for maybe 2 hours and never went back to it, and I don't regret it. It just was not a game for me. After the first 2, like I sunk hundreds of hours into those 2. The third one, I was just like, I don't care. So 100% agree with Mort on that one.
We were doing first person, and we were doing some shooters, and we were doing some other stuff. And BioShock kept getting mentioned in all these other types of games because it's really a cool franchise. I love the idea of the whole game and the steampunk side of stuff. I love that too. But yeah, I haven't played this one, so this is a good start, man. I love when we get to entertain with new stuff. Andy, number 1 Auburn versus number 2 Alabama. Here we go. Barry, don't get him started. Barry's from Alabama, but he loves Auburn, and Andy's wife is from Alabama.
Jammer, yellow hammer, roll tide.
Oh my goodness. Here we go.
No idea what that means.
Yeah.
My wife played for UConn. I had no concept of sports.
UConn basketball?
My wife, baseball, softball, and she's a pitcher. And we had a neighbor on our street that has a Roll Tide flag, and every time she drives by, she's like, no.
Yeah.
And just goes right back.
Hey, Rebel War Pig is in the house. Rebel War Pig, guys, if y'all ever need some art, you want somebody to commission, this guy is amazing. He's doing amazing stuff. He's going to be on the show coming up. We met him at the convention. He actually gave Barry, the guy that has the record in Sonic memorabilia, his latest piece. So go check Rebel War Pig out. He's awesome. All right, Jay, you're up, man. So we call him Rosie. Short for Roosevelt, number 4. It's kind of the line in the sand. It's the hardest one to me to pick because you're saying nobody else can make the list. So let's see what happens. Hey, look at this. Warren with a 5 bomb. Thank you, bud. We totally appreciate it, man. We love you to death, Warren. Thank you.
All right, so before I get to my pick, I got a question because I'm seeing Barry putting something in the chat here, and as someone who is not a college sports fan whatsoever, despite the fact that I actually worked on college football 2004, why is the war or the chant it's Auburn War Eagle? Why did?
Thank you.
Aren't you the Tigers or the?
While the other guy
kind of
up there
cat?
is thank you, and they're the Crimson Tide and have an elephant. So you have no right.
But wait.
Well,
okay.
I mean, that's Alabama, though. Like, that's just...
Right, but he's thanking right there because he hates Auburn. You have to ask Barry that. I don't know the backstory of all that, but I know that there is an eagle that flies in. It's a part of, like, their defense or something. I don't know. Man,
and that's cool. Like, eagles are neat, but, like... That's just a strange thing to yell when your mascot's a tiger. Like that just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
Anyway,
yeah. Well, to be fair, the Crimson Tide is a bunch of red algae out in the Gulf. So
there's the
Gulf of America. So
all right. So my number four. More importantly, my criteria. My criteria for this was I much like Mort. I was consulting some literature to make sure that I was, looking at things to make sure that I had an open mind going into this. And it had to be a criteria of if it was a game that was new enough to have a Metacritic score, I wanted to see if it was over an 80. That's in terms of like school grades, that's a B and up. If it was an older game, I wanted to look at stuff from like GamePro or EGM, things like that, and see what kind of their ratings were. And the final criteria for overrated for me was just, do I like it? Because ultimately that's what matters. So my number 4, and this will probably upset some folks in the chat, is Halo. Whoa. I have never understood the appeal of Halo. I think it is really just kind of an afterthought game to me. Like I get that it's Microsoft's big franchise. I get it's their big thing, but I don't care for the characters. I don't care for the setting. I think the controls are buggy. I don't particularly find the multiplayer very fun. Just not my thing. Not a fan of Halo.
Oh my goodness.
And we already start to stomp on people's faces.
Now we got it. Okay, so
Sorry,
I did play a ton of Halo.
We had 35. I don't think we're going to break that record now that Halo has been dropped. But I will say this. It's my number 1 Benjamin off the board. Not because it's a bad game. I will say this. Almost every one of these games on my list, and even probably many on the ones that you're going to mention, are still great games. They are just there's a fandom that has taken it to another level that I don't necessarily always understand. And I am not huge on and you can go back and watch. We did a show with Retro Rob, and we did a show for first-person shooters. And I am not the FPS guy. I mean, almost any of them, I'm considering overrated. Almost any of them. But you may see one or two from my mention today. This one was on my list because it is so high. Mike Canron, or cameraman Mike. Sorry, look at my dyslexia right there. Zach in the house. Welcome.
Mike, come on, Mike. That's cameraman Mike from my channel. How can you feel this way about Halo? We work together.
Mike has excellent taste.
What?
He understands. He knows. And if you're not happy about Halo more, you're really going to be unhappy about my next pick.
Oh my goodness!
I love
Halo.
What goes around comes around. College football. That's all I'm saying.
Here's the thing. I think that
real
Halo...
life perspective in the house. He is a regular. Go visit. Oh, by the way, everybody in the chat, 31 of you right now. If you have a channel, drop it. Everybody, go follow each other. This is a very awesome, safe community. Go follow everybody. They all are amazing. And I would explain everybody's channel, but we would be here all the time. Mortal Kombat and Halo are overrated. I love Super Mario and sports games.
I think that the Halo pick I understand for the overrated side of things, right? I think that the hype doesn't, it's such a phenomenon, right? Like this game was just, at least when was it, like early 2000s or so, when that first one had come out. It just kind of took everything by storm. The whole Master Chief thing, like,
Was it a launch title for Xbox?
If
I
it
don't
wasn't
believe
the
it
launch title, it was close. That's what I'm
Was
trying to
it a launch
remember.
title?
I think it was year 2 because Xbox launched in 2002.
Jay, are
or
you seeing this?
2003.
We're welcoming Game Closet to the channel. Hey, thank you for being here, Game Closet. You have now lost a friend and probably a subscriber.
Dr. Scott talks a lot of smack. I love him. He won't be leaving the channel. He won't be. We will see each other down the road at another convention, and there will be hugs and there will be love because Scott's a wonderful guy and his family's amazing. So
yeah.
But he is a huge Halo fan, and he knows my stance on Halo. He knows I'm not a fan. We were at a convention in November where the Halo voice actors were guests, and I was just like, I don't care.
So Grailbound, I probably
Wow.
looked it up. Grailbound likes to do those things. He's smart as well. He says it was a launch title. Game Closet says, I love you, Jay. Kevin, Donkey Kong Country and Sonic were always overrated too. Never understood.
Kevin, what do you have against me, Kevin?
Kevin,
You have it out for me.
Does Kevin like anything? Like everyone, every game is said.
Kevin loves a lot. Honestly, he's very. Again, he knows a lot about games. He has aside from my YouTuber friends like you guys, he's got the biggest collection I've ever seen in person. So he knows he's good. Waves and Games, Donkey Kong Country is so good. Well, maybe you want to hold on for a little bit. So
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
all right, Andy,
All right,
your turn.
yeah. All right, I'll go into mine. Criteria, very similar to kind of what we've been already
Make some
talking
waves about games.
We've already been talking about it tonight. So it does not mean I don't like it. In fact, I think all 4 of my games that I picked tonight, I enjoy. I like them, but I can be honest enough to know that they're overrated. So I think about it this way. Chick-fil-A is a highly overrated restaurant. It's not that it's bad. It's just the hype level doesn't match the product that you're getting. And I think
There's a bit of a cult behind it, right? Like
there is. It's like you have to, and, I'm a pastor, so it's like me saying that might get my credentials revoked. I don't know. But but the thing is that if we can be honest, if we can kind of step back, we can be like, it's a decent chicken sandwich, but it's not the number one. I mean, Popeye's chicken sandwich, like it's not even a debate between the two. There's a clear
100%.
better chicken sandwich. If you like the other one better, you're just wrong, right? But anyway, so you're blinded by this whole thing. So that's kind of where I think about the overrated, blinded by the chicken. But that's where the overrated side, I think, comes in to me. That's kind of the thought process I went in with this. And we said it at the top of this. This is probably up there with the hardest list because here's the deal. As I said, I play what I like what I know I like, and I don't really deviate from those things. So part of my criteria was that I had to play them. And I like a lot of games that I play. I don't really like, some of them I didn't like, but I wouldn't, if the hype isn't behind it, then I can't really necessarily call it overrated. Anyway, so Barry, you're okay. I love you, man. You're awesome. But we're gonna keep moving. No, so here's the thing. So for me, my whole world's turning. No, yeah, that's what I went with. And again, these games I like. This was a very tough list to put together, and this first one hurts me because, I like this game, and I think that part of the overrated for this game specifically is that it's. Stop throwing comments up there. I'm not even reading the chat. Okay. Part of it is that it does not hold up. And that is part of what happens here. There's been so many better ones that have come out since then, but there is such a cult following of this game. And it hurts me to say it, but I'm going to go for my Rosie. I'm going with N64's GoldenEye 007.
Yes!
I'm doing it. I like it. I'll play it for sure, but it's almost one of those things like when I started getting the N64. Now I don't have 296. I don't have the whole collection, right? Like I'm not doing that. I'm just like every now and then at a con when I'm picking something up. When I'm picking something up, like when I got to this, I knew in my head that I had to get GoldenEye. I had to get GoldenEye, and when I put it on, I've maybe played it once since I got it again. It's really just it's the hype is way too high. Now I will say this: pause music. At the time when
Noted.
we were playing, yeah, it's the best pause
It
music ever.
slaps. It's so good.
Yeah, it is, and so, but that's not enough to carry it, right? It doesn't hold up today. When back then, when that was like new and that was the thing, absolutely, this was a great game. But today, it's not. And what's interesting, we did N64 games early on. We did a Rushmore of those things, and it was before I started like getting the N64 games back and just reliving some of those memories. And I put GoldenEye in my top 4. Then I did a revisited after, and I took it off my top 4 because it's just it doesn't hold up. It's unfortunate, this game here. So yeah, I'm gonna go GoldenEye 007.
Yeah, well, here's probably the second or third one off that golden gun though. This one's on my Benjamins again. I am losing Benjamins fast, but yeah, this is definitely overrated. It's one of those FPS games, dude. Like, I will tell you this: going back and playing it, it's still fun to play against each other, even though I'm terrible. And the pause minute music is, on the Rushmore of pause music if we ever do that. There's only about 2 or 3 anyways. And then, but everything else, like the campaign is just buggy. It's a Nintendo 64 game. So yeah, you know how I feel about that. But it's just not a great game. And Andy, when we played it the other day, I spent 98% of the time staring at the mountain because I couldn't get it to turn around. Like, it just drives me.
We can agree though, like for its time, one of the best multiplayer games ever.
Well, I will say this.
Absolutely.
Again, overrated doesn't mean it's a bad game. It was, it walked so these other games could run type thing. It's obviously one of the staples and one of the games that needed to be there in order to see what we have today. Obviously, it's a predecessor for sure. But going back, it just doesn't hold up anymore.
You know what though? Yeah. So I think GoldenEye has been accurately reassessed and rated accordingly. I don't think it's overrated anymore. I would have picked it probably. During that time when it came out, you had Doom, you had Wolfenstein, you had all of these like corridor first-person shooters that had fantasy elements to them, like demons and all the other stuff. So, but what I loved about Golden, and even on the N64, we had Turok and Hexen. But then when GoldenEye came out, it was like, oh, it felt so different. And then like, and the multiplayer was legendary in college dorm rooms, like the ones that, Mike and I were in way back when. And for those reasons, we rated it so highly. And then just like they had to adjust first-person shooter controls to that controller. So if you go back and try and play it today, like you're playing Call of Duty and trying to go for headshots and all that stuff, it's not going to be fun. But if you use the auto aim, you use the C buttons, you figure out the movement, it's good. But even still, the mechanics in it are fairly broken. The escort missions in particular are exasperating at times because Natalia keeps running into gunfire or whatever. But like that's one of those ones that if you didn't play it back then, I would be like, yeah, you don't need to play it today. But unless you're like curious about the history of the evolution of first-person shooters. But as an overrated game, I feel like everyone over the last 10 years was like, GoldenEye sucks. GoldenEye sucks. It's not as good as it was. And it sort of was like, yeah, let's bring it back down to like, appreciated, but not, overrated. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I know. I get that. And honestly, let me just let you in on a little secret here. I had 3 picks that were easy for me to pick. That fourth one was tough, and I'm like, this is the only one that I can think to throw in there too. So that's why GoldenEye makes the number 4. So there's kind of an order to my list here. I'll still play it.
Yeah.
I don't think overrated. I think we all agree it doesn't mean that it's like horrible game. That's a different topic. You may not like it the most, but yeah. Anyway, so
yeah,
GoldenEye. That's where we're going. So Kirk, we're now to your Rosie.
I'm just going to share I think every one of my games in my top 4 have been mentioned in the chat. Just saying. So I'm right on board with what everybody is saying. And that was, and sometimes that actually encourages me to change one or move them, but it's going to stay just like this. So my first game, it's not really even a game if you're being honest. It's just a platform where people create stuff. It's low quality games, poor moderation. It sucks my child's brain away. I watch YouTube videos of it all day long. Farhan, I'm sorry if you don't want to be a moderator anymore, but the very first one is absolutely Roblox. Roblox is about the most overrated game. It has such a hype. I actually play this with him quite a bit. Dad, can you come play? My daughter plays with him. And it's really just like a glorified phone game. It is not great. It's every game has certain mechanics. And when you're talking about cult followings, I'm an elementary school teacher. They all play this. They all play it. It's crazy to me that they suck. They're so sucked into it. The graphics are terrible. The music isn't great. Again, the moderation is horrible. I can't believe how many times I've joined in a child's game to read some of the most awful things. It's just not a great work of art for video games. I'm gonna have to go with Roblox.
I'm very thankful that my 16-year-old dodged the Roblox bullet. We were very heavy into Minecraft for a little while, but we never got into Roblox. So
my kids,
yeah, I mean, he'll watch YouTubers just play it all day long, and then I'm like, "Why are you watching this?" He's like, "Well, this is the new level," and then we'll go play it, and it's like, "This is horrible. You watched it, and now it's bad." I can't get it. I can't get into it at all. A lot of times he'll bring it to me because he can't beat it or whatever. I'll be like, "Dad, can you make this jump for me?" And I'll beat it, and I'm like, "Here you go, take this away." But yeah, that's not a great game.
My kids, they love to watch people play the game Dress to Impress, which is a Roblox thing. I feel like it's like my parents going like, "Yeah, our son likes to play Mario." Like they don't get it. Like there's something about that they just think is the greatest thing ever. But I'm like, let's just go back to Animal Crossing. I feel like that can be your Legos on a split screen. You don't need Roblox. But yeah, so I'm glad to know that it's filthy and terrible in the moderation side, because then I have one more thing I can go, yeah, you're too young for it, sorry. So
it's not a great game.
I've never played this game. I'm not. Yeah, my kids are not interested in it. So I love this.
I love this. Roblox is making games that were made by fast food restaurants. Exactly. Exactly. That fits it all. And Farhan, you were not wanting to not say it, so there you go. Steve Craig Retro Games, welcome to the show. All right, so this is the second one. Now we don't have to do criteria. Oh, by the way, I didn't get my criteria, did I? Dang it. Well, I'll get my criteria next time I come back around. So, Jay, no, Mort, you're up. You were first. We call this guy TJ Jazzy Jeff, and it's Thomas Jefferson. He's number 3 on the list. So, what's number 3 on your list?
As I was consulting the data, I do remember reading a historical novel that referenced him by that name as well. So nice deep cut on that. I like it. This one's tough. I'm gonna say a development studio that I have a very strong love-hate relationship, and 2 games of theirs in particular that are beloved, that have made games that I also love. But the reason I love these games is not necessarily because of the gameplay, but it's because of the fantastic stories. But at the same time, it's more like Indiana Jones, perfectly captured as video games. And that would be Naughty Dog. Now, hold on. Uncharted 2, I love. Uncharted 1 is a great start. Uncharted 3, I was scratching my head going, I don't get like the repeat characters showing up in random places, the Nathan Drake's just going to run through all these mountains and all of that. Then you're going to get to cutscenes where everyone's shooting each other and one person gets hit with a bullet and they die, but then you're in the middle of the game and you get hit with 100 of them and you're just like, oh, just a scratch. And so there's like immersion things there that are weird with it. And then they went to this open world version of it at the end of 4. The first third of 4, maybe even first half of 4, is like some of my favorite storytelling and even the game was a ton of fun just in and of itself as a game. But then you get to the back end of it, and it turns into this open world mess that they made the Uncharted Legacy. I forget if that's what it's called. Someone help me out here. The one with the two females who
Lost Legacy.
That's the one. Thank you. And I just was kind of like, I cannot compel myself to keep playing through it, especially repeat character models, all that stuff. Same with The Last of Us. Loved the story of The Last of Us. But by the last fourth of that game, I was like, okay, just get to the next section. I was playing the games not because of the game. I was playing them because I was reading a book and I wanted to see what happened next in the story. So I'm saying Naughty Dog. I'm cheating a little bit by saying specifically, if I had to pick one, it'd be Uncharted 3, but Uncharted 3 and maybe even The Last of Us, which not for the story, but the games themselves. I think they especially 3, Last of Us overstays its welcome a little bit for my tastes.
So I know what Andy's going to say. Andy, you haven't played these, have you?
I'm Googling it right now. 96% Google users like this game. This
I haven't played either one of these, but both of them have major motion pictures, television shows, and things like that. And so when those both started to come out, I was like, man, before I watch these, I want to watch I want to at least play them. But I didn't have a PS4, PS5, or whatever it was, PS3 even. And so I have watched gameplay on these, and it is unanimously, when you get towards the back end of these games, people either just love them because they are just fanboys and they're following, or people are just exhausted with it. And
I've played Uncharted 1, 2, 3, 4, and the Vita front to back. I've played the games. Like I still love the stories. This is the epitome of an overrated game is not a bad game. It's not that it's a bad game. It's that after a while, it just feels the same, which you could argue about the mechanics of nearly every game. I get that. But for whatever reason, it started to wear its welcome out on me. And the more I hear people just be like, game of the year, greatest ever, I'd be like, it's fun. I don't know about greatest ever. I'm going to say it's a little overrated.
Sounds like the chat agrees with you a little bit. So Kevin, Last of Us was good. Second one, pretty rough. Girlbound, I love Uncharted franchise so much. Uncharted series was fun. Can't say I remember the fourth one, though. Fox says, what's Fox say? The Last of Us.
What does the Fox say?
Had 15. There's what the Fox says. 15 endings that felt like by the end I felt drained and the credits rolled. Uncharted 3. Oh, wait, hold on. Uncharted 3 and 4 are the best in the series. Oh, that's a little different, huh?
CM Puke is one of my favorite people, and I agree halfway with him. 3 I don't love. 4, the first part of 4 is so good. It's so good, and then the ending. CM Puke, I don't know if you felt this way, but I felt like the ending just dragged out way too long. Like I felt
we are done. Bye.
Get
out of it.
So
just playing.
All right.
So,
well.
Nate Drake is my favorite.
Preacher says CM Puke rules.
He's great.
Hope to get to meet him someday. They didn't rename The Last of Us so many times, though. Yeah, that's true. So Jay, what's up, man? How goes it with your TJ Jazzy Jeff?
So my Jefferson, and kind of like what Mort said, where this is the epitome of. It's not a bad game. I just think it's a bit overrated for the hype behind it. Is going to be Baldur's Gate 3. And it's a game I love. Absolutely love Baldur's Gate 3. My problem with Baldur's Gate 3 is analysis paralysis. There's so many choices. There's so many different things you can adjust and customize and change on the fly that I have a hard time getting into the game because I will create a character and I'll start playing and then I'll be like, well, what if I did this? What if I changed that? And then I'll go back and roll a new character and get into game and be like, but I kind of like that. I should have done that instead. And then I'll start a new character. And I just keep getting stuck in this loop where I can't move forward with the game because there's too much. It's too big. It's beautiful. It's fantastic. The story is incredible. It is easily the best use of the Forgotten Realms and Dungeons and Dragons in video game form ever made. But it is not this pinnacle of video game making. Like they did an incredible job with it, but there's just too much to the game.
So Andy, this is way out of your realm. Go ahead.
At some point, at some point I'm gonna know one. I know Halo, so and I know I've heard of Roblox, so I've seen it. But no, as I'm googling it, it looks cool though. So I wish I had more to add to these games. I just like newer
So
games.
I love Baldur's Gate 1, PS2. Played that. Played I think 1 and 2. I agree. The Dungeons and Dragons side of things. I really enjoy these games. I haven't played this. Is a 23. It was like 2 years ago, I guess. PS5.
Yeah.
My son is working to get him a PS5, and so that's one of the reasons we haven't got one yet. He is almost there. He is doing all kinds of things, knick-knack. But this is one of those games that I would purchase for myself once he gets the system.
Don't let a child play that game.
Yeah, I wouldn't let him play. Yeah, absolutely. I wouldn't let him play. But I'm a huge role playing guy. I love these type of games, and I've heard that it's really big. So yeah, and just lots of things and lots of stuff. So I probably can agree with that, but what I've read.
Yeah. Yeah.
By the way, Retro Maniac. Hey Jeff, welcome to the show. Welcome back in. Mort, Baldur's Gate 3. Is that something you like or not like? Something you're into?
It is in my backlog. Although what Jay has said and what basically everyone else is saying about the game does make me nervous. Games like Fallout 3 gave me analysis paralysis. So like if that did that, then I can't imagine how far I'm going to get to Baldur's Gate before I'm like, well. It's just that for me is just a time and capacity. I like a more guided experience that I level up as I go, rather than something where I can constantly change the world as I go in it because of just where I'm at in my life. I think if I had more time to really get into the customization, that's appealing to me. But right now, I want something that's not quite as guided as Uncharted, but also not quite as open as Baldur's Gate. So, which there are those games that fit for me.
20-year-old unmarried, no kids Jay would have loved Baldur's Gate 3, everything about it. But 45-year-old Jay that has a 9-to-5, a kid, a wife, I don't have the time for it.
Yeah,
just don't have the time.
I'm just telling you, it doesn't sound like it's even in my forte. Like if I've got to make all these choices and do all these things, like I play video games to not make choices. You know what I mean? So like that was kind of my escape in a lot of those things. But not that it's an RPG, but like RPGs type stuff where it's like it's just constantly like building up your character and doing. I lose interest. I get bored talking about.
Speaking of RPGs, Keith from Pick and Preacher did our RPG episode, and Andy actually found 4, which is interesting.
Yeah, I actually found 8 because we did.
So Andy, you're up.
Yeah. So, yeah. Okay.
Yep, we did have Benjamins, which you were stretching for a few, I'm sure.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously I was. So anyway, so I'm going to go to my next one. And this is where we start to really probably mess with people's nostalgia here. Again, remember, does not mean that it's a bad game. It's not one that I'm going to. It's beloved in the retro video gaming world all the way back almost as far as you can remember with video games. My TJ Jazzy Jeff is the yellow man himself. I'm going Pac-Man. Pac-Man, just as the franchise is going to be overrated to me. It's a fun game. It sure is fun. But there is nothing with the amount of other video games that have come out and just fun, other things. Pac-Man's like never going to jump to the front of my list of games that I want to play. He's one of the iconic characters. We can give him that. But absolutely not. It's not where I'm going. I think from an overrated standpoint, I think he fits right in there. There's a lot of hype behind it. I mean, maybe not as much like now or whatever. There's certain other games that iconic characters that probably get a lot more love. But again, Kevin, it doesn't mean I don't like Pac-Man. I just think it's overrated. So anyway, that's where I'm going to go. I'm going to go Pac-Man. We're jumping on nostalgic characters.
I know you well enough now that we're on episode 155, 156, 157.
Yeah.
We lost the guy. I know you well enough that I absolutely figured I had pegged you to pick at least one staple game. I didn't know which one. I knew it wasn't going to be Donkey Kong, but I figured it would be something from back in the day that everybody loves, and that just everybody like. This is one of those games that people just like set in. There's no rules, just play it, done, whatever.
Do people still play Pac-Man though?
Love.
Who actually still plays Pac-Man?
It's legitimately the first game I look for when I go to a barcade.
Oh, okay, well, hey, okay, awesome. Maybe it's just a generational. I don't know. Like, I'm never going to Pac-Man. That's not where I'm going.
PNX wants to know if your next pick is Tetris.
Yeah, we'll know. So yeah. I know this one's going to get the hate, but I knew that going into this episode, like,
I think Halo's probably going to get more hate than this, to be honest. But these people will just look at you like, "What's wrong with you for this one?" Like, what? What?
It's okay. If anyone is not shy of getting the reaction of "What's wrong with you?" me. I picked, just so you guys know, we did a shoot 'em ups episode with Pick and Preacher. And I picked Pokemon Snap, so was on my list. So there you go. That's what
that's an on-rail shooter, and it's
fantastic. You might want to stay around. The way we're trending, that is on somebody's list. So just saying. All right. Well, I'll go.
Hold
listen.
on, sir. Hold on, sir.
Oh, okay. Go Mort.
When I play Pac-Man, I'm always like, yeah, Pac-Man. This looks awesome. I love Pac-Man. And then I play for a few minutes. I'm like, I'm good. I got all the Pac-Man I need. That is until this little beauty came along. Have you guys played this game?
Which one? Let me zoom in.
It's a great game.
This is Pac-Man and Galaga Dimensions. It's Pac-Man, but like dialed up to 11. Like, it is super fast. It's graphically crazy. Like, it's constantly stuff is jumping out at you. If you don't like Pac-Man, if you didn't grow up with it, this was such a great spin on the game. It was great. As a character, like, whatever. But as a game, this is so fun and so addicting. This is a great game. So think about
that. Check that one out. But
agreed. It's a great game. I've played that game. That's a fun game. I do like it.
Yeah. Pac-Man Championship Edition 1 and 2 are also fantastic.
Was Pac-Man? There was like the 3D one that came out on, I think it was it PlayStation, PS2 maybe? Like where
Pac-Man
you were
World?
like not open world, but you were moving around almost platform.
Feral Inferno played it for a while on his channel. You remember? Yeah.
Is it 3D platformer or something with?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's a
I remember
Pac-Man World 1, 2, and 3.
So just a shameless plug. My son is Retro Cannon, and he plays old games for the very first time ever. And he's playing through, the book is way over there. I'm not going to go get it. But Pac-Man was the first video he did. And we played through all the Pac-Mans. And he even loved it, Andy. So there's that. So
I'm not saying it's not a good game. It's overrated.
I think he rated it a 5. And I think he rated it a 5 out of 10. For the pure reason that it's the first one and he didn't want to go too high. But if you ask him, he liked it. We played it again since. Pac-Mania. Yeah, square pegs. So, hey, welcome. Let's real quick. Welcome Keith or Screech, Retro Cart. Welcome Game Closet. 23 Much. Welcome to the show. And Super Garbage Day is going to be on. Real Life was already on here. They're going to be on together doing video games. Well, we've already done video games that became movies. They're going to do movies that became video games. So they're coming on during the movies to roll with that. And so that's going to be a fun time. Grailbound says Retro Clark doing well, and you. So, all right, well, it's my turn. And my criteria. 1, I had to play it. 2, I have to just feel there's some kind of cult following, big fan base that I just look at and go, I don't understand. I mean, that's just mainly it. And all these games, I have never been inside that, and I'm okay with it. So I'm also 46. I'm also a dad. I'm also an elementary teacher, and also a children's youth pastor. So a lot of these have to do with some of the newer games that kids are playing. And so my next one, obviously, I said Roblox, and I'm going with Roblox number 2, which is Minecraft. And Minecraft is mind-blowing to me that anybody wants to play this game. I can't wait for the movie. Jack Black looks like he's going to be funny, but I have sat there and played this. I love watching people who have built like the Taj Mahal and like stadiums and I understand like the open platform, get to do anything, kind of like your own imagination, everything that you get to do. But again, I just don't get it. I don't understand like why the graphics aren't great, but I'm okay with the graphics not being great. It kind of fits with the building block, like almost like Lego, right? I get all that, but there are people, and not just kids, there are adults that are playing this game for like they haven't stopped playing since it came out. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours building just the most crazy things. I don't understand it. I don't get it. Minecraft is just, I will just shout this out. If you are an adult and you have over 100 hours in Minecraft, I think you need a different hobby. So, yeah, that's just my take on it. So I'm going Roblox and Minecraft. My son is probably out there screaming at me.
Yeah. So here's the thing. Again, to your Roblox pick, I don't know much about Roblox, but I do know a bit about Minecraft. When I was teaching, I was a 6th grade teacher. I was computer lab. My kids found this website or some way that you could get to Minecraft through the school board computers or whatever. And I actually let them, and it wasn't like the full, like they couldn't chat with each other, something like that, whatever. It was just like a world or whatever. And for a while, I would let them, like on Fridays, had they got all their stuff done. I was like, yeah, I don't care. I get it. I think I get it. Like if I was that kid, I would understand. Now I'm not putting in the time to it because it'd be ridiculous. But I think I could understand why that game would be as big as it is for sure. And I'm worried about the movie, not because I care about the franchise. It just seems like a movie that's going to flop big time. It gives me that.
I have that sense too.
I think it's going to flop, but I think it's going to be fun to go with my kids.
No, yeah,
I guess it's one of those. Like, I'll enjoy it for them. They're safe, but yeah. And I love Jeff Black.
What do you guys think about Minecraft?
I've tried to play it a couple times. That's what I think about Minecraft. I will say this. I like a lot that as far as a customizable world, it's the equivalent, at least as I understand it, of playing Legos with a keyboard. Like in that sense, I think is like there's ways that other people's imaginations, not mine, but other people's, have gone on to create some really amazing things in the world of Minecraft.
Oh yeah, I mean I've seen like somebody building Yankee Stadium like to the T, and it's like, wow, you're like in the bathroom, like you got the schematics out. Like the amount of time to do that, like I would just be building like a simple house, like it's just crazy to me.
So to that end, I appreciate it at some level, but at another level, I'm like, for
and again,
me,
not a bad game, just not a game for me, and I don't understand it.
Yeah, my interest level is pretty much gone from it. So.
Hey, Declan, welcome back, man. Thanks for coming in and joining in. Second, I like Minecraft, but younger me was obsessed with it. I agree. Okay. Jay, what do you think about Minecraft?
Not a game for me. I've played it. It's not something I really get into, but I admire the creativity it brings out in people. And I think that's something that's missing in the gaming space right now. It reminds me very much of Mario Paint from the Super Nintendo. Wasn't a game that I enjoyed.
Now, Mario Paint, which is funny, because that's our thing. I love Mario Paint. I love building the music and the fly swatter game and the whole. Yeah,
it makes me think of like Sim City back in the day on the computer. Like, I mean,
I love that game too, which is not very much understood today.
Roller Coaster Tycoon kind of games, like that stuff where it was just like it's different, but anyway.
Kevin says Minecraft doesn't irk him as much as Roblox, and Poetically Christian says Fortnite must go down. So, all right, we're halfway. This is the time where we take a little bit of a break. 29 of you guys hanging out. Poetically Christian Gamer is in here. He was in last week, and let me tell you, his episode was amazing. we did our top 4 things that we would vicariously live through video games. If we could pick something from video games, what would it be? It was an amazing show. It was him. It was Aaron Jag. Go check that episode out from last week. But let's jump in and just kind of share some things that are happening. We are obviously the Rushmore Show, but one of our favorite things is Nerd in the Word, which is down there by Mort right now, which is our Reboot logo. Reboot, the unconventional ministry, which we go in. Andy and I are both youth pastors by trade, and we're both teachers, ironically, and coaches and fathers and really good friend YouTubers, that whole thing. So we make a good team. And one of our favorite things to do is hang out at comic book and video game conventions. And some of them have welcomed us in to be guests. And we actually do Nerd Church there. And you can see some of the Nerd Church sermons that we have done. This last week was Sonic, was the theme. So I preached on Sonic 3. Last week's was Marvel versus Capcom. So Andy preached on Marvel versus Capcom. And a couple weeks ago, Darth Vader was in attendance, and I preached on how the dark side can be renewed. So we love to preach that. And what we have realized is no matter if you're a believer or not, that there are nerds in this space that feel they are not welcome. Just like anybody right there out in the political scheme, you can find some reason not to feel welcomed in your own skin. And sometimes Christians are irky and weird. And we like to, instead of be bashing them in the head with signs on the outside, welcoming them in the inside, much like Keith and Poetically Christian Gamer, and hugging these guys and just saying we love them and letting them know there's a space. That idea is that if they see a message and they want to have some questions, that they can message us here on the show and come check out some more. Secondly, we have a convention coming up. Andy, do you have the flyer, by the way? Because I don't have the flyer here, but
I don't have STCC's flyer.
So St. Tammany Collectors Con is in about a month, and we will be in southern Louisiana, in Mandeville, Louisiana, at the Castine Center. St. Tammany Collectors Con is the next one on our list, and it's going to be a fun time. And I think it's in the beginning of May. Andy, is that
May 3rd and May 4th? May
3rd and 4th. So down South Louisiana. If you guys are in that area, it is an amazing time. We have such a blast with these folks. Talk about the community that we have here, but the community there is just as big and robust, and we love it, and we are so appreciative of that. Andy, you want to tell our friends about our other set of Christian creators, which is right over your head, Culture Box?
Yeah. So Culture Box is a group of friends that are together, which actually we've just added a new member. We got to get a commercial for them. I don't have that.
We have to get a commercial for him. Yes. Nate
we
Marchand.
have to make one. But so this is our time where we kind of shout out those guys. This past Tuesday, we were on Retro Rewind podcast doing a review of the movie 1993's The Fugitive with Harrison Ford and Tommy Lee Jones. It was a fun time being able to watch that again. But tonight, I want to give a shout out to speaking of kind of nerd church and that stuff, a good friend of ours, Dallas and Celeste Mora from Geek Devotions. Let's check it out.
Geek Devotions is a collaboration of devoted geeks that are devoted to letting people know that they are loved. They produce a weekly geek culture infused devotional, their podcast content, and written articles, all designed to encourage and challenge people in the geek community, bridging the gap between their faith and their geekdoms. Find all their content at geekdevotions.com.
There you go. Go check out Geek Devotions. Let them know that the Rushmore Show sent you there.
Hey, and we have one more thing before we get out of here. Actually, two more things. Before we tell them about our favorite coffee in the world, Andy, let me show you guys what's coming up. These are all in order. Mort and Jay are the third to last one. So you can figure out what's coming after this if you're new here. So check it out. All right, let's tell them how they can stay awake really easily with our favorite friends over at Village Coffee.
Yeah, so we are going to shout out Cade and the official coffee of the Rushmore Show.
Let's face it, at-home coffee can be pretty stale. Coffee at home doesn't have to be boring. The Village Coffee is here to deliver the flavor. The Village Coffee roasts coffee every week and sells online. Go to villagebeans.com to order your coffee today and use discount code RUSHMORE for free shipping.
There you go. Check it out. Our favorite coffee. In fact, funny story, just real quick. He gave me a T-shirt not that long ago, and the T-shirt says "Ask me about my beans," which my wife always reminds me when we're going to a kid's birthday party. Don't wear that shirt because it might come off a little creepy. But I did wear it the other day to work, and I went to go pick up pizza, and we made a sale with the Rushmore promo code from the owner of Little Caesars Pizza. How about that? Because of the shirt. She asked me about my beans. You can clip that out. That'll be a good clip right there. She asked me about my beans.
So just a heads up, the owner of that is the PK, or the pastor's kid of our lead pastor. And he's been on the show. He was one of our first guests. He did drummers, the top 4 drummers of all time. That was a great episode. All right, so let's jump back in. Thanks for hanging around with us, guys. And 30 of you are still in. So we are moving into number 2. Here's a softball pitch for you guys. We call this guy Link for Lincoln. We just tossed it right there for you. Who's number 2 on your list, Mort, of most overrated games of all time?
Well, certainly no one by the name Link, you surly person. This is a series that is beloved. I love that it's beloved. It's just never been beloved to me. The second game in the franchise is one that I have played multiple times. I have played it on collections. I've played it on its own. I've downloaded it because I'm like, I'm supposed to love this game. And I never one of his very favorite games. And he might come over to my home and try and toilet paper it when he hears this. And that is Sonic 2.
Whoa!
Yeah. So look, I think my problem with Sonic 2 is I realize I can't play it like I'm playing Super Mario Brothers, where like you want to stop and jump and explore. You want to go fast through the levels, which to me is like Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, where you try and get like a line and go through it. And I've never gotten to the point where I've been like able to find my way through where I'm going. And having, I don't know, so I love that people have Sonic. I love that Sonic is the movies are blowing up and that people are enjoying him. I love that Sonic 3 is a game that is beloved among many. I love the different directions they've tried with the series. I just don't, I've never been like, you know what I feel like playing? Sonic, classic Sonic. My favorite Sonic game is Sonic Racing Transformed All-Stars on the 360 Wii U, and particularly I love the PlayStation Vita version of it. But that's where I'm at. I got to be honest. I hope you still love me, and if you don't, I don't care because I gave up people pleasing long ago. There you go.
There you go. Okay, so I just put in there. I think this makes my Pac-Man choice seem very mild now. So this is good. This is very good. Despite your choice, we're still at 32 in the live chat, so that's good. I love this game.
What if the Christian Gamer says Mort just lost all his street cred? Dude says dislike and unsubscribed. Kevin agrees. He says, I'm not alone. You are not alone.
Yeah.
So
I am here with you. Yeah.
So I will jump in.
I want to love you. CJ, I love you. I want to love it. I try. You need to come over and play it with me and show me the way, because right now I try. I just don't like it.
Yeah,
I think I understand how you felt.
Like you. Farhan says he's almost finished with all the Sonic. So a couple things. One, we did top 4 Genesis games with Manny and Saturn Steve, and I don't think I had any Sonics in the top 4. And in my mind, everybody loved 2, That was the best one, like loving 2. But if I'm being honest, none of them are in my top 4 of the Genesis, which says a lot because there's no way I wouldn't have Mario in the top 4 of my Nintendo. Like, because Sonic, to me, you're right. It's a fun series. It's an okay game. It is really fast. And I remember as a kid just playing it to do the pinball section. So I like Sonic Spinball better a little bit. But yeah, I agree. It is kind of overrated. It is a great game, but it's overrated.
Jay, what were you going to say? You were going to add
There's a great Sonic pinball game on Game Boy Advance that I really enjoy. That's a really fun game. But yeah. Anyway, go ahead, Jay.
I was going to say, I understand how you felt now when I mentioned Halo. Because, like, I am just flabbergasted by all of this dragging of Sonic 2 that's happening right now.
Listen, let's be honest.
Yeah.
It is a fantastic game. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
We got to be on that team.
And I just preached on it. Sonic 3 because of the movie tie-in, but I just preached on it.
That's right.
There it is.
On me.
Let Louisiana
But there's a whole hermeneutic on Sonic 3 written, and you can buy the commentary right now from Kirk. But yeah, there you go.
It was the ancient Greek text that he was using.
Yeah. Well, in the movie, Shadow has a redemption story, so there you go. All you do is run to the end as fast as you can. Level design. Well, I will say this: Sonic 2 was very repetitive, and the bosses were super easy. They were very easy. But yeah, you just run through the game. Sorry, was putting down the boys for bed. Well, thanks for coming back after the boys are down in bed there, Keith.
I enjoyed Sonic and Knuckles. That expansion weird thing that you could put it in. You can have that one.
Yeah.
That was on my Sega, my top Genesis games. That was my favorite of the Sonic games. But I think Knuckles was always the favorite character, so that helped. But anyway,
I will say I agree about All-Star Racing Transformed. That game is brilliant and does not get its flowers often enough.
Yeah, there's a ton of Sonic games now too. Like, how many Sonic games are out there? It's crazy.
In the research for it, I was kind of looking it up, and it said like there's over 250 different Sonic iterations. It's crazy. So, all right, well, Jay, you have to top it. Sonic 2. What do you got better than that?
Super Mario 64. One of the worst cameras ever in a video game. It makes the game overly difficult because it's not responsive. It looks terrible. It does not play great. I've never understood the fascination with Super Mario 64. It's never something that I've liked, even when it launched. I remember playing it at my friend Chris's house and just being confused as to why everyone was just adoring this game. I just did not find it fun. Not my kind of game.
All right. Well, I'll let Andy speak first. Yeah.
I need a minute. I just need a minute, so you can go ahead and talk.
Well, I'll give you a minute while I talk. And look at Mort. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, just a fun fact: my Benjamins today. I thought I would pick my 4 of my favorite franchises and pick their most overrated game in the franchise. Mario obviously was one of those that was up for one of those franchises, and 64 was my pick. So that's another Benjamin that has been taken away. I totally agree. I'm just not a fan of Nintendo 64. And here's the thing. I was at the space where I didn't own a 64. I owned the PlayStation. So that's fine. I love Nintendo, but I never played the 64. I didn't own one. I only went to a buddy's house to play it. And now going back and replaying them, because I've been going back, most of them I played for a little bit and I'm like, I can't keep going. It's clunky, the graphics, and it's because I'm not playing back in mid-90s. I'm playing now for the first time for most of those because I didn't own it.
Here's the thing. I get your point about the camera. That's my one problem with this game. I don't like the camera. I don't like having to press the button to shift my view. It takes away from some of the gameplay there. But outside of that, I absolutely adore this game. It is for sure up there. The music is some of the best of the whole Mario franchise, and you can at me all you want with that. But it is Dire Dire Docks might be the #1 Mario song in my opinion. But yeah, I love this game. So, but I can listen. This episode, this show is all about opinions. It's all about opinions. It's what it is, and I get it, and it's okay.
The whole show is about opinions, not just this episode. To that camera is not good. Look at Mort. Mort, is this you hulking out? Yeah.
Why I oughta?
All right, so Mort, what do you think about that hot take?
It's not that hot a take, to be honest. I generally would say that Super Mario 64, like GoldenEye 64, is a game that if you weren't there, it's hard to go back to. And I can appreciate the camera is tough to go back to. But for what I was playing at that time, there wasn't a 3D experience like it. And as a first step into that kind of game design, the way that the levels, you get a star and then it boots you out and you start over, and then they can change the map a little bit to accommodate for that. I just think some of those things were really clever and creative to make it not be like a giant open world that you'd get lost in. It was still like a linear Mario game, but it felt like an open world Mario game at the same time. I also think I think going back to it is a lot harder to go back to than my favorite N64 platformer, which is Banjo-Kazooie. But at the same time, I think that I think Super Mario 64 is a good game. It's a fun game, but it's just not. I think if you didn't grow up with it, a lot of the N64 library is admittedly low frame rates, lots of fog. Some of the controls are really tough. But I think of the Nintendo 64 as like a middle schooler in that, it's the transitional age of technology and video games. There's awkward growth. There's stuff that is like it's almost but not yet in terms of where its potential for video games is going. But to me, it's very much the awkward adolescence of video game technology. And when you could see stuff that was like really cool, you were like, oh, this is going to be amazing. But I don't know. So like, I understand why it's iconic, but it's not iconic because it came out today. It's iconic because it came out almost 30 years ago. And in 30 years ago, seeing Mario in 3D was mind blowing. Even if in hindsight, we love what he looks like as a sprite.
So, you have just made a friend for life, Mort, with Andy. By the way, Andy is just starting a Nintendo 64 collection.
It's not even a collection. It's
only because Mort on the channel. You've been calling it a collection for months, and now it's not a collection.
Look behind him.
Mort, if you were to give some advice about collecting Nintendo 64 games to Andy, what would it be?
I would say don't worry about a full set. I would say unless you grew up playing a lot of N64, I would say that there's a lot of really fun games if you can forgive some of the shortcomings of the technology. Some of my favorites that are not the big ones, the Marios and et cetera, would be games like Snowboard Kids, Beetle Adventure Racing, Body Harvest. I have a ROM cart with everything on it because sometimes I'll just be like, I just want to try this game really quick. And I still love going back and playing a lot of the games on the console, flaws and all. It's charming to me. Doesn't put me off the way that like a PS1 game can. I would also say that one game I've sort of discovered, I didn't grow up playing a lot of Tomb Raider. And so I don't have that to compare it to, but the Indiana Jones game on the N64 is genuinely great.
I saw your video for that.
Yeah,
you talked about it.
It's so fun, and the world, the level design, all of it. Parts of it I had to consult a walkthrough for parts of it, but I love it. There's just a lot of really good experiences. There's also a lot of flaws. There's almost no RPGs. There's especially JRPGs. There's no.
Well, that's why Andy loves it right there.
The 3D camera is troublesome for a lot of the games. The fog's annoying. The frame rate's annoying. I get it. I still love it anyways.
So Kevin played Banjo and Kazooie for the first time. and got 100% over Christmas. Andy, that's Andy's favorite game, by the way. Mort. That's why I said you made a friend. I'm on a PS2 collection, and I'm not trying for a full set for sure. I chose that because I have the ROMs here from everything PS1 down. So, and then PS2 was my favorite system as a kid, and I'm just picking the ones that I like. So, anyways, that's kind of
Andy, what is your collecting goal with the N64?
I don't have a goal, and that's why I say it's not. I don't know if it's a collection as much as it is when we go to the cons and we're invited to these things. I find a game that I'm like, oh man, yeah, I remember that, or like, oh, I remember wanting to rent that at Blockbuster.
So you got Turok this time, huh?
I bought Turok last time, and it's weird controls, but it's
backwards. They had to figure out a way to do the dual thing. I just made a video on my channel going through the best ways to play N64 games without using an N64, and the Turok, and a lot of the highlights was the Night Dive remasters. Turok's remasters that they put out recently for modern consoles are some of my favorite gaming experiences because it rights all the wrongs that I had playing the games on the N64.
Yeah.
It's so fun.
Yeah. But other than that, there's no real goal. I mean, I think I have like 31 games right now that are just, and Snowboard Kids was one of those ones that I wanted, that is super, super crazy fun. I remember that game as a kid. The sprites in that one is super awesome. Just everything about that game was fun. But Banjo-Kazooie and Banjo-Tooie all day. Love those games.
Yeah.
All right.
DK64. DK64, another Rareware game, but that's okay.
Jay picked some great ones here too.
Your link.
What's that?
Let's move. Let's get to link.
Oh.
yeah.
All right. So we are. Who are we on now? Oh, we're on me now. We're on
you.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Jay just went.
So here's the thing. I'm not done with making people mad. But it's okay at this point because I feel like some of these ones that were picked here now are going to, they make these picks not seem so bad. And PNX, you knew it because my next pick is Tetris. I'm doing it. I'm going to go Tetris because here's the thing. It's very much, for me, it is very much the same.
I knew he was going to do it.
The same as Pac-Man to me.
No!
I will if I put Tetris on today.
Don't go, Kevin. Don't go. Don't go.
After a minute of playing, I'm done. It's like whatever. It's the least interesting game to me. It's the least makes me want to play this game. I don't care what you do with Tetris. It's still just Tetris.
Oh my God.
Maybe some of this is the hate for the Z-Piece winning when we were with Vintage Sport Flips as video game characters. Maybe or maybe not. But no. Tetris
picked the Z block.
Outside of the iconic Tetris music, and I understand what the game did and when it came out and stuff, but it is absolutely not the greatest game of all time.
Because I know this has really ruffled some feathers.
Yeah, I know.
I went and watched. Look, I lost my hat. I was just like, what? Look, I went and watched a couple other people that did overrated reviews and games. And there was one guy, he had like some really hot takes. And this was like number 3 on his list. It was Tetris. And when I saw it, that's when I said, I thought you were going to pick one of those like staples. I said, that's a game Andy's going to pick. That's a game Andy is going to pick because I could never see you play Tetris. Like that's just not, dude. I could play Tetris
I'm not
every day.
I'm not going to it.
Look,
I don't get the hype. I don't.
It's the perfect bathroom game. I mean, just
explain.
Yeah.
Explain the hype. Explain it because it's not. The product doesn't meet the hype.
Mort's got it for you.
I played this game on my school calculator. I played this game on my Game Boy. I've played this game on every console it's ever been released on, and I've had a fun time every time with Tetris. I play now. The game I play more than any other game is Tetris 99 on the Switch. I play that every night. You could see Mort on there. I love Tetris. Puzzle games are like my genre. My number one favorite game ever made is Super Puzzle Fighter 2. And Tetris is sort of start from 0, get to level 15, 20, 30, whatever you can, which is stupidly hard. But I get like that mode is whatever. The multiplayer element of Tetris, just like with Puzzle Fighter, is some of the most fun elements in video games, because just when you think you're out, like you clear a bunch of stuff and it dumps on the other side, just like with Bust a Move, just like it's, to me, there's an element of it that's like I get into like this little zen state, and it has that perfect just one more game. And the next thing I know, it's like an hour's gone by or 2 hours have gone by. And I'm like, well, I mean, that was just the ultimate in distraction core gaming, like just for sure. But I love the puzzle stuff. All of it. It is perfect game design. It is perfectly made. It is perfectly executed. There's not one thing I would change about it. And anything that they've done to enhance it, some has worked better than others. But man, like Tetris 99 to me is amazing multiplayer. Jake,
I would add on to this, but what Mort said, because he's right. Like the only thing I will say in addition to that is like my personal favorite version is Tetris DS. I have put hundreds of hours into Tetris DS. I think it is the best version of Tetris ever made. Tetris 99, second place for me, but it's the perfect puzzle game. You don't need to be an expert to understand it. It's inherent in its design that you know what you need to do. Everyone understands get rid of thing. Like you drop things go away. That's all you need to know. It's a perfect game. It's absolutely perfect.
Yeah. I also have to say there's some shout outs here for Luminous and Dr. Mario. Totally agree. Love those games as well. But I don't, Andy, is it just puzzle games in general that you don't like, or is it this one in particular?
So when I thought of the assignment of overrated,
yeah,
there's not a game that's higher. I mean, I understand. I get that it is one of the top games of all time. Like it can widely considered that.
Yeah.
I just don't get the hype.
You done messed up now. Messed up now.
I know. But that's payback for all your 64 bags.
I mean, there is a movie about the cultural importance of Tetris that came out with James McAvoy, my friend. That is probably not totally true, but the Gaming Historian's video on Tetris, you absolutely should watch it. It's essential.
That was a really cool movie, though. I really enjoyed that.
But I mean, like it's kind of fascinating from a cultural perspective how it even got here in the first place. I had to go and get not just the NES regular one, but I had to go get the Russian one too, or the unlicensed one as well, because I love Tetris. Yeah, Alexei Pajitnov was at SoCal Gaming Expo, and I brought both of these in hopes to have him sign it, but I could never run into him, so bummed. But just my favorite. I love Tetris.
Yeah, good.
Tetris Effect is literally the only VR game I enjoy.
I never played it.
Mort.
I will say this, Mort. I love puzzle games, every one of them.
Yeah,
I'm a puzzle game fan. It's probably one of on the Rushmore of genres of games I like as well. I really just enjoy that. One reason that I like Breath of the Wild and all those are the puzzle side of things. But Tetris is what I love about Tetris, and why I think it's not overrated in just the small. And I understand why he said it's overrated. This is the one game my dad loved, which is because he could play it, and everybody can play this game. You might not be able to get to level 180, but this is a game that literally is culturally everybody can do. And so I understand why Andy picked it, though, because I've been hanging around him long enough to know he was going to do something like that. I can't wait for your George. I can't wait for number one. So,
I bet we all. I honestly, I bet we all have the same number one. Based on what we said, I think we all have the same number one.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's a claim. Let's see if that happens. Yeah.
Well, okay. So my number one, I'm going to kind of venture away from the Roblox Minecraft thing. That's kind of like my kids' games, my students' games. But I'm going to go into a game that just I absolutely loved as a kid, but they just keep making them and they never get any better. I'm going with the whole.
Wait, is this your number 2 or number 1?
This is number 2.
Okay, you said one. I just was making sure you weren't skipping ahead.
No,
Okay.
I said I'm going to hold up. Yeah. I'm not going to number one. It was one of my favorite games as a kid, but I just can't figure out. They just keep making them, and nothing ever changes except the players move to a different team. I'm going with Madden. It's maddening how much they keep making off of this game, and people keep buying the same game over and over again. New spin move, new whatever. And I hear me. I love this game as a kid. I'm terrible when I play people, mainly because they spend so much time on it. So that's maybe another bit of it, but it has such a cult following. I remember as a kid watching the Madden trucks on MTV going all around the country at all the sports games. There is such a level of competitive Madden, right? So like the best players in the world. But if you've played one Madden, you've played them all. The music is great. I love the music. I love the soundtracks. The game is actually really good, but I don't need to buy a new one every year. And I don't care if I don't have the right roster. It's just they've sold us on the cover and they sold us on the new soundtrack. I haven't got one since probably 2006, but it never fails. Whenever I watch people play online, it's like, yeah, it's pretty much the same thing. But yeah, Madden.
Nice pick.
Yeah, good choice.
So I worked at the studio that made Madden, and the really fascinating thing about any sports game that gets released is the fact that any iterative video game like that has a yearly release, it's kind of a miracle that they ever get made, because there's so much stuff that goes into it and so much stuff that has to be done. People just think, oh, they're just putting a new roster in there. That's not even kind of close to what happens. There's a ton of development that goes into it, a ton of changes that happen behind the scenes, because there's always updates happening to your console that impact how the game is being played. So there's new things that have to happen in the software as well. It really is a miracle that we get any sports game yearly. Are there massive improvements? No, but there's a lot of very small things that happen and change in those games that it's kind of crazy that it even happens in the first place, because a video game being made is a team of hundreds of people working on one goal towards the end, and everyone has a different idea of how it's going to get there. And for it to come together in the end like that and to actually work is remarkable. So that's
I will
my
say
only 2
this.
cents
As
on
I
it.
was thinking about it, I was saying, it can really be any sports game. 2K, NBA 2K, NHL, FIFA. Madden's the one I played the most. Madden, I'm the biggest fan of. I'm from here. I'm looking at. There's my collection. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 different ones on this shelf. And I love the game, but when you talk about overrated, like I never like who's going to be on the cover, what's going on, and like this big hype, and everybody goes out and buys it. And then even like in the game collecting world, most of these games are worth nothing because nobody wants a 2006 version. You can pick them up pretty cheap if you really wanted them all. But yeah, I can appreciate the design, or I can appreciate the development of it. Absolutely, I wanted to do development of games as a teenager. Like that was something I wanted to go into. I can only imagine what they have to do. I mean, I remember when they added a couple things like the spin move or whatever. I'm sure they're going to put in the jump backwards like Saquon Barkley does this year. I mean, there's always certain things that they're going to do because he did that in the game. But to me, as overrated comes, it was honestly the first and only one I had for quite some time. So
Now, for the record, I don't disagree with you at all.
Oh, yeah.
I'm 100% on board with what you're saying. And this is from the guy who owns literally every NHL game ever made by EA Sports. I've got everything from NHL 92 to 2025.
Nice.
They're on my shelf. I've played them all.
EA Sports.
So, yeah, you're right. They are overrated for just that reason. I just wanted to get on my soapbox.
I appreciate that.
Call of Duty is Madden for action gamers, and every year they have to have iterative versions of war games that are action packed and all the things, and they have to constantly find something new about it. And the reason I bring this up is when I go to play a Call of Duty game now, like I got kind of burned out on the series. I stopped, and then I went back to it a few years later, and it had this really interesting effect where I kind of felt like I could jump right back into it because the base mechanic was just like riding a bicycle, but the surrounding stuff around it that was new was like a lot to kind of jump into and like learn again. So some of the things like, you know, going to the table to like upgrade your gun and like do all that stuff, I was like, no, I just want to go do the shooting part. I don't want to like add all the stuff and RPG my gun stuff or whatever, or even the Warzone sort of element of it. Although Madden Warzone would be kind of fun, but besides that, but
it's
that
called Mutant League Football.
Yeah, but that idea though of like, you know, certain games have annual releases because they're like, particularly sports, they're dependent on a changing ecosystem, and it's interesting culturally what is expressed in those games based on the generations that come out and what they're sort of highlighting, because there's always something different in their era that they're I don't know, that they're trying to emphasize. So it's interesting to go back and cheap to go back, but I get why. But I don't know. To me, it's like YouTube content where like you do news that reacts to some news piece that happened. You know, the Switch 2 release, that video will blow up when it comes out, and then 2 months later everyone's moved on, or 2 days later everyone's moved on. That's Madden for games, is everyone's excited and then they've moved on, you know, because then there'll be another one tomorrow.
Yeah.
Well,
Very well
said. I feel exactly that, because Call of Duty is on my Benjamin somewhere. So for that same reason. So there you go. Unless somebody picks it. So that is, now we're to the George, which we call, it used to be G-Dub, but now he's the George. Like the Ohio State, right? So here we go. Number 1 most overrated game of all time.
I thought you were going to say this in your last one. I really did. I was ready to jump up. A game that a lot of people played as kids, that they constantly make over and over again. I did not play this game series as a kid. I have tried multiple times at multiple entry points to play various versions of the game. And my favorite version of this game that is as addictive to me as anything else is the puzzle version of this game. Yes, friends, I'm talking about a little series that is the most popular series in entertainment and pop culture history. That is Pokemon. I at some level, I'm kind of cheating because Pokemon is by default rated the highest by default. So at some level, there is like, yeah, like, are you just shooting fish in a barrel? But I'm just gonna say for me is that Pokemon is not a game series. I've tried Pokemon X on 3DS. I've tried Switch versions of it. I've tried to go back to the older versions of it, and I'm like, I get it, paper rock scissors. It's just I've never had that moment where the addictive component of I gotta catch them all. That's never been a thing for me. And maybe when that series came out, I was probably late high school, early college, and so I was not the target market for it either. So I might have just missed it. It might have been my Minecraft that I missed, but now people make thousands and tens of thousands of dollars on the cards of it, and I just don't understand that world at all. Love you if you do. Good for you. I'll play Pokemon Puzzle League, but the mainline games, they do nothing for me.
So Andy is dying, but like Kevin in the chat, yeah, I'm mid 40s, and when this game became big, I had my eye on a whole different type of thing, and so I never got into it. I never got it. And now I will say this: I love collecting the cards with my kid. He's a big Pokemon, building the Legos, playing. He's never played any of the games yet, although there are a bunch on here. This was not on my list, Mort, for this reason only. I have never played them, and I don't really plan to. There's so many role-playing games I love. This is probably not one I would jump into. But Andy loves Pokemon, and this was his whole role-playing game list was littered with Pokemon.
That's awesome.
Yeah, the only way that I could find an RPG that I would like is if it involved Pokemon. I'm 30. I'll be 36. So when Pokemon was out, you know, the TV show. It was my after school, what I was watching. It was the cards I was collecting. If you didn't have Pokemon cards at school, you were like the weird kid for not having them. Like,
Yeah.
I there's so much that I go back to. I love. Now I'm talking the original. Like now they're at like 12,000 Pokemon. I mean, I don't even know half those guys that have come out, but I'm talking about the Gen 1, just those Pokemon that were out. It was what it did for me in the nerd realm of things. It was just, you couldn't touch it, right? So I love Pokemon. I love the Pokemon games. We're talking, you know, Pokemon Yellow, Blue, Red, whatever on Game Boy. We jokingly say it, but I love Pokemon Snap. It is a absolutely fantastic. I love that game so much.
Snap's great.
Pokemon Stadium, you know, all of these different games, I love them. I could see, as much as I kind of like, you know, joke, whatever, as much as I love this, there's a lot of hype. So in order to be overrated, there may not be games other than maybe an Italian plumber who's like up there rating wise, like most iconic kind of things. But this kind of transcends video games because, you know, it is the card game, it is the video game, it is the TV show, it is the movies, it is the, you know, all the other things that are involved with it too. I say all that, but I disagree. But I get it.
I also know it's kind of cheating. I wasn't like being hyperbolic. I believe it is truly the most popular and financially successful entertainment property in the entire world. Yeah. So by default, I'm kind of cheating a little bit by saying Pokemon. But when I open up my you know, when I'm scrolling through my YouTube shorts or whatever, and I see videos of people at Costco trying to basically knock each other out to get a box of Pokemon cards, I get it. Those are scalpers mostly. But there's still enough fever that they're willing to do that because enough people are still willing to buy those cards, which I recognize is a collectible market that's different that I don't understand. My friend John's really into that stuff. But I think like there's so many like elements of fandom around it that because I'm not in my 30s, I'm in my 40s, I don't get it. So here's what I would ask you. To someone like me who didn't grow up playing those games and you having a pretty good knowledge, it looks like, on all the games, what game? Because I own, if not, I just sold a bunch of them because I realized like I'm just not going to play these. But I kept everything on the Switch. I kept most of the DS. I still have most of the mainline games. I sold the Mystery Dungeon games, sold, you know, the Art Academy, all that stuff. Like I'm just never going to play that stuff. Where should I go?
My go-to is Pokemon Yellow for Game Boy. I mean, that was just my absolute favorite Pokemon.
Even today, that's where I should start.
Even today.
Okay.
If I could go back and I'll play Pokemon Yellow now, like there's definitely great games that are out there for sure. Like, but Pokemon Yellow was we've talked about it when we did a Game Boy episode a couple weeks back. This was the game where I would turn the game on and not realize how. I mean, I'm so glad that we couldn't log hours back then because I'd be embarrassed with how many hours I put into this game. You know, with the Game Boy, you have the batteries. So, like, if you can play the game and outlast a battery, you have a problem. You know, and like I remember countless hours spent playing Pokemon Yellow on the Game Boy Color as just it was my thing. And I also had the Game Boy that was the Pokemon Edition one that had the, you know, Togepi and a couple different ones around like art on there too. So I would, as a nostalgia, like that was what I grew up with. Now there's a ton of games I haven't played in the Pokemon realm because again, I said I kept up with Gen 1 and then I didn't really keep up with it after that. So more of my games are going to be in that realm up to like the N64 time. Yeah. But yeah, so I'd go Pokemon Yellow. Or Red, Blue. I mean, Red and Blue are great too.
Code 86 is new to the channel, and they say Red, Blue, Yellow. But I do want to say hello, and to everybody else that's maybe new, welcome to the Summit Squad.
Nice.
Yeah, so welcome, Showed. Yeah, they say Red, Blue, Yellow. But I'm not a fan either. I do love doing it with my kids. I love Trevor's channel, Trevor Hart, which is Poke Trev.
Yeah.
Which kind of took it from Poke Rev, which is a big Poke tuber, I guess they call them. But yeah, Pokemon, man, big one. It's not on my list because I didn't play that many. I would say the one I did play and I loved it was Pokemon Go. When it first came out, we had a
Oh, well,
blast
yeah.
running around town and just doing it. But now I still see like people running around town and doing it, and I'm like, okay, sure. I'm glad you got it.
Yeah. I guess what the last thing I'll say about it is this. I sort of want to get it more because I love the hype. I think hype is fun. And I like
FOMO.
I like when there's a group of people who are excited about something. Like I like excitement. It's fun. And so like I want to get it more, but I try as I might, I just cannot. So
Yeah. Well.
Wow. All right. Well, Jay, I think I know where you're going, but let's see. I'm ready.
Okay. I don't know that you know where I'm going, because it is not Pokemon. I can tell you that much. Pokemon was in my my Benjamin's list, but so my number one is the game I was most hyped up for in my life. I was ecstatic to play it. I couldn't wait to get my hands on it, and when I got it, I was immediately disappointed because I did not care for the protagonist. I did not care for the look. The only thing that I enjoyed about it was the music, and that game is Final Fantasy VII. I have never seen a more overhyped and under-delivering game. I did not care for the remaster they put out on the Switch that supposedly fixed so much it didn't do anything. I think Cloud is one of the worst leads ever in a video game. Don't care about the remakes, just not a game. Like I will never understand why people adore that game so much. And anyone who says it's great, like it's like, no, it's still brilliant. It's still brilliant. Play it today and look yourself in the mirror afterwards and know that you're a liar, because it's not.
Yeah, well, this is a lie. This is a lie. I just played. This is the latest RPG I just played, and I don't even have the remaster because I don't have the new stuff. I played the original, and it's still fantastic. Sephiroth is one of the greatest villains of all time, and Cloud's one of the greatest heroes. So, yeah, I'll stand on that. There is another one from this series that I would definitely throw under the bus, but not this one. Not this one. Now it's ugly.
I will throw it under the bus. I will push it back under the bus.
What's that?
I will throw it under the bus. I will push it back under the bus. I will shovel it into the sewers. I do not like Final Fantasy VII.
I probably have 1,000 hours on this game easily.
I just love Jay's response here, and I love Kirk's enthusiasm. This is wonderful.
I love it. I love it. I felt like I was getting attacked on that.
On my Rushmore, for sure, of games.
Finally, it's going somewhere else. All the attacks are going other places.
I figured somebody would say it. And Jay, you threw me because you mentioned in the private chat something, so I assumed that you were going to go somewhere else. But I guess nobody ended up saying your stuff. So, yeah, this is I mean, it almost made my list because it is rated so high. But when I step back, I go, it deserves it. So that's because I enjoy those games. It's my favorite games of all time. But from someone else on the outside, see, like Andy's never even played them, and he's laughing, and he's never even played them. So
no, I get it. I have not.
So it's hard for them to understand, but you to play it, I'm kind of baffled. I mean, if you like role playing games,
I do. I love role playing games.
Series, and this is
Final Fantasy VI. I think is one of the probably the top 3 stories ever told in video games.
100%.
I just Final Fantasy VII was such a letdown to me. Everything about it was.
Did you play? Wait, hold on a second. I'm glad you brought up 6. Did you play 6 before 7?
I played 6 before 7, and I beat 6.
I didn't play 6 until way after 7. When it came out on Anthology, and yeah, I was like, awesome. This is another great game. That would have probably maybe ruined it for me because 6 is so fantastic.
I've been playing Final Fantasy since launch day with Final Fantasy 1 on the NES. So I am deeply devoted to that franchise, and just 7 is man, I don't understand the love.
I don't know. I don't even know the game. I don't even think if you put the screenshot on behind you, Kirk, I wouldn't know what game it is. So that's how far away I stay from most RPGs.
You know, because it's been brought up before in this channel, but yeah.
If you see a guy with a ridiculously huge sword and spiky blonde polygons for hair, That's Cloud, and he's awful.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
Yeah. Pokemon is Final Fantasy with janky animals to collect.
Kevin, stop coming to the aid of Kirk here. No,
It is.
I guess that's a good pick. I've never played it, so I don't know.
If you said, so if you said Final Fantasy VIII, I could understand. That was garbage. Final Fantasy VII is good. I think Final Fantasy VIII is great too.
Final Fantasy VIII doesn't get picked because it has triple triad, which immediately puts it ahead of Final Fantasy VII.
I like Final Fantasy VIII too, but
I like Final Fantasy VIII.
I think 8's underrated, to be honest, because it gets a lot of hate. But
I agree.
Yeah, Andy, you're up.
All right. Yeah, my last one. This was like so. Most of the time when we do a Rushmore, I know my number one, usually number two, but this was without a doubt easy pick, low hanging fruit. We're gonna go here. I'm going Final Fantasy VII. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not doing that because I don't know the game. I'm going with Madden. I'm going to crush with you, Kirk. I think Madden is.
I was about to say. I thought your thing was you played it.
Yeah, no. I've played plenty of Madden, and again, just like we've said all night, Madden. I love the game. I'll play it. I got Madden Mobile on here, but I understand that if we're going to put overrated games in the dictionary or whatever, or you're going to type it into a Google, Madden's probably going to be the picture that you get. I mean, for all the reasons you said before, we're gonna keep. This is definitely overrated. I think the whole idea about like actual professional athletes worrying about their Madden rating is just wild to me. And the fact that one week he makes
now we're putting them on the screen. Now we're putting them on the screen.
Yeah, so we have that and the Madden curse, which I mean may or may not be a thing. The last Madden that I actually owned was Madden 08, Vince Young on the cover, Tennessee Titans. Now I've played Maddens since then. Like I said, I've gotten Madden Mobile on my phone. There's just and Jay, your point that you brought up about how it's a miracle that they come out yearly. I mean, I'm 100% on board with all of that. I'm not. Again, I'll play the game. It's fine. It's whatever. But with the idea of it being overrated, for sure, it's gonna. There's far better games than Madden in some of these games that are out there. There's no story to Madden other than you're playing the game against the opponent that's in front of you. There's no, there's all that kind of stuff. I actually think that some of the games that before Madden was the only football game we could get, were a little bit more enjoyable. Maybe the 2Ks, the ESPN footballs, the different little features that we have. NCAA, well, which is back now, right? But again, having some of those other games that had different features made it a little bit more interesting. Now it seems like, and again, it just from an outsider's perspective seems like same game, new cover, new roster. Let's seal it and sell it, right?
Take your time, Andy. We may need a minute after the Tetris pick.
Yeah, well, I went a little bit lighter on this pick.
Crushed it.
Yeah.
It looks like we're losing Mort. We're losing Mort.
I'm deep in thought and in retrospection here. Generally, I'm appreciating and agreeing with so many different things. It's causing my brain to turn.
Okay, what are you thinking?
I'm thinking that you guys you crushed on each other. Was that what happened? Crush more or something?
Crush more.
Yeah. No. No. I actually really like. I wonder what it is about the different genres of games that we all like that make us feel this way. There's a mix of what influences what makes a game good. One is the mechanics of the game itself, but the other is when you played it first, and then the other is probably, at least as we've talked about it, there's like the nostalgic when I played it first, and then there's just the general quality of the game itself. So I don't know it, and then also your personal taste. Like the more analytically minded among us are probably going to like the strategic element of leveling up a character. The others of us may be like, I just want to shoot things and go boom, and I think kind of just an interesting commentary on human personality. That's all.
That's me. I'm shoot things and go boom. That's
Sounds
what
like,
that's the
sounds
game
like
I
we need another. This is your next deep dive on your channel, Mort. So
It might be. Who knows?
Since we've already talked about Madden, and we've already kind of talked about it, we kind of agree to a bit or another. I'll jump into my George. And it's been mentioned already, and no more. It isn't Pokemon, mainly because I haven't played it. It definitely is not Final Fantasy VII because that's on a different list for the George. And I've already said Madden, but I am going with. It was mentioned plenty times in the chat. Going back to my kids' games, the most overrated, hyped game in the world right now is Fortnite. For goodness sakes, it is absolute. Garbage. It is hot garbage. I hate this game. I watch people play it. I go and play it. And obviously I don't like first-person shooters or third-person shooters sometimes. But yeah, the hype around this game, it is surrounded. One of the things I do love about it, it's basically free for everybody. But then they hit you with microtransactions like nonstop. It is a phenomenon. What I do love, I will say this. What I do love about this game is that you literally can have like Fester fighting Blanca fighting, some other weird guy from another game. It's kind of like taking the Smash, the Smash Brothers idea of Nintendo with just random characters. Was the guy from Saw or whatever. But this game, I don't get the hype. I just don't. What I don't get anymore is like these online multiplayer melee games. I don't know. I'm just not very interested in them. And Fortnite to me is the king. PUBG, all of them. It's crazy to me how popular this game is. But there you go. I'm going Fortnite.
Okay, I have played Fortnite a time. There's one time I played a time, a singular time. We had a youth event and they brought it or did whatever, and
that show says I'm downloading it right now just to say I played it.
I don't like it. Gives me anxiety with like the building of like the weird like I don't even know what's happening half the time in that game, and it's I don't know. I don't know enough about it to add much to
building,
it.
Yeah, that whole building mechanic. And look, when I went to play it, my kids wanted to play it. Pastor Kevin was playing it. They wanted to join in, and Cannon's friends play. Cannon's my son. So we try and log on. I try and help him. I can't help him. I'm like, I don't understand the building mechanic. A lot of stuff's going on. The whole, like, the zone just keeps getting smaller and smaller. I don't know. It's for somebody. Obviously, it's an amazing. When you said Pokemon earlier, when you were lining that up, I was like, man, is he going to go Fortnite? Because it is one of the most crazy phenomenons right now on how big it is over the last, I don't know, 8, 9. How long's it been around? It feels like it's only been like 4 years. It's so popular, but it's probably like 15. But man, I just don't get it. What do you guys think down at the bottom there?
I don't personally hate Fortnite. It's not something I really enjoy, but I think there's a lot of creativity that goes into it. I think anytime you're balancing that many different licenses together to make it work is kind of amazing to see. I think the mechanics in the game are pretty solid. I don't mind the base building stuff. I actually think that puts a really unique spin on things. But it's not a game that's made for me, so it's not something I have played regularly. I've probably played it 15, 20 times, but I don't hate it. I do think it's overrated. Like I think it kind of became the zeitgeist for a while. Like, I mean, there's a toy line. Like that says how popular it is. But I don't know. I think it's just one of those games that's just not made for me, and that's okay.
I like this. It's the billboard advertising of video games. I do like the idea of all of the licensing. I think it's phenomenal what they've done with it and where it's gone. When we think of overrated games, for me, as someone who wants to go play games, this is a game that every time I pick it up to play, I just get irritated. I'm like, I don't get it. I just like and this is kind of where maybe I show at my age that you've hit those moments where you're like, okay, you're old. Here's the three out of the 4 games I mentioned. I feel old, right? And so it's just like, yeah, it's tough, but plenty of good things. Oh, Pixel Game Squad in the house. Welcome. Mort's facial hair game is feeling rough in the room with all these bearded wonders.
Clean and
There's
mean.
some right
brother. Clean and mean.
I would be
Well,
clean and mean, but
welcome,
I would
Pixel
look like a really fat infant
for
if I
being
did so. So we're going to keep the beard. So.
You know, when we first logged in, when Mort was kind of shouting you out, Jay, before you came on, I was thinking, man, he's going to say something about the beard, and he didn't, because I was like, you're the only one without one. Yeah.
I said the most handsome man in retro gaming.
You did say that.
He did.
And I acknowledged our conversation that we had without Jay present.
Right.
Oh, you mean Jay, square pegs? And I said, obviously, who else would I be referring to? Yeah, I didn't need to say beard.
Well, hey, Pixel Game, as we always do, welcome to the Summit Squad. We throw wrenches around here like they're candy, and you now have one. As long as we appreciate everybody that's here, so now you have one. Well, we're to the end, and now it's time to jump into our honorable mentions. This is a fun game. This is how we end the show every year, or every week, every week, and we're going to play a game. Can I ban Mort? You absolutely can. You absolutely can. So we are going to play a game called All About the Benjamins, which is basically our honorable mention draft. Don't go nowhere. And we all know culturally we probably should remove that song, but we're not, and because that's and Joey always got to throw that out because somebody always has to mention it, but it's good. This is how it works for all you friends for the first time being here. Welcome to the Summit Squad. We cannot pick any game that's already been mentioned. It is the same order for the first round, but the second round comes back like a snake draft in fantasy football. We're going to pick any games that we think might have just missed the mountain, because I read somewhere when we first started this that Benjamin Franklin was going to be the 5th guy on the mountain, and he didn't make it. So there's that. And so we call them Benjamins. Who is left that just missed that we haven't said yet? Mort, you're first, then Jay, Andy, me, and then it's coming back the other direction. Go.
I don't know if it's accurately rated or not, but Destiny.
This is on a lot of lists. It's on a lot of lists.
I feel like
I haven't played too much of it, but yeah, definitely up there.
I feel like it doesn't go anywhere. I don't get it. I've played hours of it with friends. Whatever.
Nice.
That's good.
All right. Jay, your first honorable mention. What you got?
My first honorable mention is my favorite game in the series from this franchise, but I have to look at it and realize that it's not as good as ones that came after it. Mega Man 2. Everything Mega Man 2 did, Mega Man 3 did better.
No! Wrong, sir!
Wow.
Rush was in Mega Man 3. We could slide in Mega Man 3. Proto Man was in Mega Man 3. Mega Man 2 is my favorite.
Is
Metal
is not as good.
Is Metal Man or is Woodman the Saw Blade guy in Mega Man 3?
No, he's not.
I'm sorry, say that one more time. Who's not in Mega Man 3?
He is not.
What?
He is not. It's true.
Yeah.
Wow.
It is my favorite Mega Man game, but it is not as good as Mega Man 3.
Oof.
I mean, wow. Okay.
All right. I'm going to go with my first
Andy,
one.
you're up.
We're going back a ways here. There's a franchise of these games, but I'm going to go back to the original. And I don't know where the hype level is on this, but I know that there's a nostalgia love for it. I'm going Super Mario Kart. Our first Mario that's in here. It's not as nearly
version?
as. What's that?
Which version?
The NES one? What was it? The
Super Nintendo one?
Yeah, Super Nintendo one.
I agree with that.
Yes, Super Nintendo Mario Kart is where I'm going to go for my first Benjamin.
Wow. Now,
It's the first. I think that's the first Mario mention we've had today, right? Like actually made a list. So there we go.
no, we have Mario
Yeah,
64.
I think so.
Oh, Mario 64.
Mario
That's right. We did have Mario 64. Sorry.
All right. Well,
I blacked that out of my memory.
I had mentioned this earlier that I was going to go with for my honorable mentions, my kind of some of my favorite franchises, but what I think is the most overrated game from that franchise, which is basically just ones that I think just don't hold up for me. Since you brought up Jay, Mega Man 2, I'm going to one-up you with Mega Man 4. I am not a fan of this game, and I don't get it. Mega Man 2 is one of my favorite games of all time. Like you said, I can see where you would say it's overrated, but I'm going to go Mega Man 4 for my first pick. And my second pick, another one of my favorite franchises, and Jay, since you mentioned it, and you brought Final Fantasy 7 up, I'm going to also one-up you, and it's not 8. I love 8. It's 9. I don't get it. I don't understand why people like Final Fantasy 9. I've played it all the way through plenty of times. Actually, I played it twice, all the way through. One time when I first got it, and a second time when I was a little older to see if I just missed something. I just don't like the characters, and it's well loved. So Final Fantasy 9 would be my next one.
Do you just not like good characters, or like, is that what's going on here?
The armor guy, the main character, I just don't like it. It's not fun. It's not as fun. Final Fantasy in general, runs away. Yeah, Vivi. There you go. I'll agree. Vivi is a terrible character, but I don't like Vivi. All right, so Andy, you're back up.
Hey, Game Closet, thanks for hopping in.
Yeah,
appreciate you. Appreciate you being here.
Hey, we're almost out of here. Thank you for hanging out all this time. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
Scott, later, man.
My next one is, we're saying retro. We're saying iconic retro game. It was different than a lot of these other games, but I'm never going to go back to this game. It's Duck Hunt. Throw it out there.
Is that well rated?
It's not. I don't know. But this is bottom of the barrel. These games that couldn't make the 4. We're gonna go Duck Hunt.
That was my grandpa's favorite game. So
if it wasn't packed in with Mario Brothers, I don't know if we'd still be talking about it. But yeah,
I agree. I think that
But,
all right, so Jay, you're up, and then Mort, you have 2 back to back.
Oh, okay.
So since Mort kind of did you did end up picking Uncharted 3 and Last of Us, correct?
I was more commenting on Naughty Dog, but yes, those are the 2 that I highlighted. Okay,
well, I'm going to comment on highlighting a particular developer or a particular creative mind, I guess. And I'm going to say anything by Hideo Kojima.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Wow. Not a fan. Not a fan. Wow. I think he makes great movies, but don't enjoy his games.
Jay, I cannot wait. I cannot wait to go next.
Oh my goodness. That's
what does this guy do? Please, can you enlighten
Metal Gear Solid, Death Stranding.
Okay.
But Metal Gear Solid.
Oh, except Boktai. Boktai is brilliant. I will say that. Boktai was amazing.
They're banning him. People are banning you right now.
Zone of Enders. Okay. I think he also did Zone of Enders. He had some role with that. Did. Yeah. So.
Did Mort just curse? Is what cameraman Mike says.
Darn it,
man! Metal Gear Solid is on my Rushmore of games as well. Man, Jay, me and you are fighting. All right, so you're up twice, Mort. You get back to back.
How many more after this do I have? Is this my last?
You get 3 more.
Okay, all right. Okay.
You'll have 1 more at the end.
Everyone needs to go to Girlfriend Reviews and watch their video on Death Stranding. It is a masterclass in storytelling, but also game analysis. It will make you appreciate Hideo Kojima. That doesn't change the fact that I agree totally with Jay that, except for Metal Gear Solid 1, which I love and I highlighted in my last video, every time I sit down with 2 and especially 3, I don't think his cutscenes are that brilliant. I think it's a little bit over the top. I appreciate what he's going for, but the stealth gameplay, I think Splinter Cell's better. So I was gonna say maybe 3 is the one to highlight because it's more cutscene heavy than 2, and then 2 is like you're Snake for a little bit, and then all of a sudden you switch to the ninja guy. Like, what is that? So, I think like it's like appreciating a great director. Like I love, this is gonna get really pretentious here. I love Ingmar Bergman. He's a classic director who's made some of the greatest films of all time. But his movies aren't for me. But I appreciate him so much. That's how I feel about Hideo Kojima. I think he's actually trying to do something. Anyway, that's one. The other one I'm gonna say is Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. Oh, no. Go ahead.
I was just saying we're at 37 right now. You know if you see that.
New record.
Most popular.
There it is. There's the record. There's the record. We did it.
Like us. All right.
Sorry. Anyway.
Does anyone need to comment back on that? Because we kind of did that with Jay.
No, that we'll agree. But this next one that you're saying, I know is going to tip some channels.
Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 is one of my favorite games ever made. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater Underground, people look back on and I think it's even better. I don't know what you're smoking. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater Underground does nothing for me. I think it's stupid. I've tried to play it a bunch. I just generally don't think much about the sort of I think as a cultural timepiece it's really fun because of the soundtrack and the Jackass crew and all of that stuff, but in general the underground games, people talk about them like they're the greatest.
They
don't do anything for me.
I love all things Tony Hawk, and I get where you're coming with that, like the whole like side quests challenges that you have to go do now. It seems it was kind of weird, but
which at that time Tony Hawk's Pro Skater was an iterative franchise as well. It was Madden, like, and it was like you can't do another location with get the letters, get the tapes, do the, I get it. They had to do something different. It just didn't work for me.
Yeah. Wow. All right. So you get another pick.
I love this show. This is such a fun show. Like we haven't had this much controversy in a while. So it's Andy said his war movies. So ask him what his war movies are. But anyways, so that is your 2. Now Jay, you get
Wait,
2 more.
No. Mort, did you give us 2? You said
I said Metal Gear. I was agreeing with Jay. That was one of mine that I chose, and then Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. I love Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1, 2, 3. I like a lot, but Underground, they lost me there.
Got it.
Manny's blood pressure's through the roof on the Benjamins. All right,
I love Manny. What's up, Manny?
All right, Jay, you're up. You
get
2 more.
Kirk,
this one and
you're not gonna like this pick, Kirk. You're not gonna like it. The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom. Please make up your mind what game you want to be. Do you want to be Minecraft or do you want to be Zelda? Just figure it out.
I will say this. I don't disagree with you completely.
Okay.
I love Breath of the Wild. I am playing Tears of the Kingdom right now. I don't hate it, but I'm still kind of just wandering. So I see where there would be hate on it. But to me, it's a fun game. But yeah, you're right. It's kind of overrated. I would agree.
It's a great concept.
Yeah, it's a cool concept. Yeah, but I do love Breath of the Wild for sure. All right, so
I'm definitely more the guided Zelda experience, not the open world. I'm with Pixel Game Squad on this. I appreciate Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, but I would much rather play Ocarina of Time, Twilight Princess. I loved the toy box style graphics and everything for Link's Awakening that they did on Switch. Those games, front to back. On the 3DS has peak Zelda experiences for me with the Ocarina of Time remake, Link Between Worlds. So good, but yeah.
Link Between Worlds is my favorite Zelda.
It's great.
Well, Andy, you're up.
All right. So this one, there's a weird love for this one too. A lot of time, and I think in 2 weeks, I think the last one's going to be hardest games ever, like our Rushmore of hard, difficult games or whatever, something like that. And this one's probably going to be mentioned on that one. I've recently replayed this game, and outside of like that weird nostalgia pull to like, oh man, I remember this being a difficult game. I just don't like the game. I'm going to go with Aladdin. I'm gonna go with Aladdin for my next pick. It plays really weird. I didn't
Which
like
version?
that game. What was that, Super Nintendo, right?
The Super Nintendo and the Genesis
there's
ones are different games.
Oh well,
He's going
yeah,
Super Nintendo.
yeah, the Super Nintendo one. Yeah,
Okay, well, you're right on that one. That's fine.
yeah.
You can leave now, Andy. This is I take over this podcast, sir.
We have now rehired. No, Pixel Game says no. Yeah, yeah. I do like that game. Overrated? I don't know. Maybe.
It's one.
All right,
Was one of my favorite games. Yeah, go.
End of the third round, first to the beginning of the fourth round. So you nailed it. I'm going Zelda, but it's not the one behind me, but it's the other one just like it. I'm going Majora's Mask.
Good choice.
I listen. I just don't like the whole timing. I'm being timed, having to go back, and it's not. I'm not a big 64 as it is. I played Ocarina of Time. It's probably my favorite game on the list. But Majora's Mask, every time I play it or try to play it, I just can't get into it. And then the other one is obviously the Italian Plumber. And you guys took the one I was going to choose. And Andy, I'm just going to one up you. You said the Super Nintendo.
You're not going to say the 64.
I'm going with Mario Kart 64. 100%.
It doesn't even make sense.
No.
Nothing that you're saying right now.
No.
I would rather play the Super Nintendo version or Mario Kart 8.
What is wrong with you?
Mario Kart 64.
What is wrong with you, sir?
Super
I love
Nintendo
Mario Kart
is
64.
nostalgia, but
Rainbow Road?
yeah, it's overrated.
You're just a 64 hater. That's all it is.
That's
I
all.
am.
Yeah,
and it's clear because Mario Kart 64.
Yeah,
Kevin, I don't even understand your opinion on things, but Mario Kart 64 is like. Anyway, okay.
I know you're George during our.
Yeah, it's my favorite 64 game. Okay. Wow, I gotta collect myself.
We're just saying it's overrated. Not
how can I hurt Kirk on this list? How can I hurt no? Which one's gonna cut the deepest?
Hey, look, he's not wrong.
Yeah, that's Kevin. Kevin's saying that.
Mario
Kevin's telling you that.
It's not. I'm not the only one.
This is tough.
Revenge pick.
No, I can't because the games that he likes I don't even play. So, gosh, where do I want to go? I got a couple more left on this list.
You would have to say a Zelda. That's about it. You're gonna pick
No, I'm not gonna say a Zelda, and that's the whole thing. Like I can't. I'm so glad. Yeah. Anyway, my last pick that I'm gonna go with I don't even know if I'm trying to win this thing. It's a cool cover.
Oh,
there you go. It's a cool cover of a game, and I don't know if there's any really hype to this. So you guys, it's okay. It's the last pick here, but it's really, 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 really repetitive. And I'm sticking with I'm just gonna go all retro here. I'm going with I'm gonna go Excite Bike. Excite Bike 1984 is where I'm gonna go. It's it's whatever. There's some love for nostalgia, but you play it for 5 minutes and you understand what's happening in this game completely, and nothing really changes. So go Excite Bike.
It's fun for 5 minutes.
Excite Bike is fine.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's not like it's a bad game, but if you just want to do nothing for and whatever.
Well, we had Riff for a little bit, and he's gone. All right, so Jay, you and Mort get one more pick, and it's time to tell everybody good night.
All right. My last pick. So one of my signature memories is living in Fort Myers, Florida, going to Mike Greenwell's Battle Ball Family Fun Park. Former Red Sox Gator, went to high school in North Fort Myers, Florida. He had an arcade, and there were fighting games everywhere. Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat. And the one game that I just never understood the hype behind, Killer Instinct.
Oh!
Wow.
Oh! Ouch.
I had a fighting game on my list. It definitely wasn't Killer Instinct, and it wasn't Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat either. But yeah.
I love the characters in Killer Instinct.
Wow. I like Killer Instinct. What I was never really good at it because you have to do like 75 combos. But yeah, Jay just broke my heart. Sorry, Craig.
It's Tony Hawk's Pro Skater as a fighting game. Just combo.
Combo. Like
Ultra
combo breaker. Yeah, exactly. Sorry, Steve. All right, Mort, finish us off.
All right, I'm not going to be too controversial here. I'm going to say what we all know, which is that Superman 64 is the greatest game of all time. I don't know how it keeps ending up on all of these best of lists. You guys are crazy. It's a good game. No, my real actual choice is this: Burnout Paradise. Everybody loves to praise this game. It gets a remaster. I don't know why. What is wrong with you? Burnout 3 is the greatest racing game ever made, without rival, without question. Every Need for Speed game bows. Forza bows. Everyone looks at Ridge Racer. It doesn't care if you're arcade or sim. Burnout 3 is the greatest. Let's keep making open world Burnout games that make no sense for the track design. Let's just do whatever we're gonna do, and you can drive around and it's so cool, and you can race people. No, sir. I want to play Burnout 3 HD 4K, battling the cars, crash mode, downloadable content. Yes, here's my money. What are you waiting for? 720p on my Xbox 360 from the original disc is not enough. I need Burnout 3 Takedown. Burnout Paradise, go away. Leave us alone. Criterion, EA, whoever. What are you doing, people? This is money that we want to give you. All of us. I speak for all gamers here who agree that this is the greatest racing game of all time, and you let us down, friend, with Burnout Paradise being the swan song of that series. No thank you, sir.
And with the last pick of the draft, we have Set a Statement. There's your show. Hey, man, I agree. Burnout 3 is a great game, and it seems like everybody in the chat is agreeing. Bill Keys, welcome. Just in time to kind of bid everybody adieu. We've been in this almost 2.5 hours, and it has been a great show. This is what I'm going to ask you guys to do. Many of you have been here before, so you know what's up. Next thing that's happening is tomorrow sometime, there will be a poll on YouTube, and there will be a poll on Instagram. Go and vote who you think had the best choices today. Make sure you don't just heart it, hit the vote, and pick who has the best choices today. Last week, Aaron won on
How?
Aaron won on by a long shot. And Aaron was just in the chat. He won by a long shot in the vote for what you would want to do that a video gamer does. So he won by a long shot. So here's what's coming up, guys. So we got a couple of y'all in the chat. Before you leave, just saying, every Thursday night we're live for about 2 hours or plus, depending on how long the conversation goes and how much. Yeah, Aaron, there he is. Aaron got him. Aaron won last week by far. It was a landslide. Next week, we're talking underrated Nintendo 64 games. I love what Kevin said, that how can there be underrated when there's not that many good ones? So I know we're just throwing jabs at Mort. By the way, guys, we've had two fantastic guests. If you go to Square Peg's channel, he has a video out like every 2 or 3 days. I love it. I'm in his Discord, and there's a new one out just popping, and I go and check it out. And Mort just finished the North American Nintendo 64 journey. He shows just the great storytelling of collecting and reselling and kind of thrifting. And man, Mort, I shared a message with you, and I was like, yeah, I got choked up. I was really driving with my son, and we had it up on the dash. He's like, Dad, did you really get it? And I said, I'm sure he did. I mean, we'll see what happens. And when you just kind of like stood up like this, I was like, oh, that's cinema. That's epic. I love it. I
cannot wait for you to see what happens next. I'm so excited.
And I was like, oh, I love that so much. Thank you guys for being here. Listen, we always said we never thought we'd have one person follow us. To have you guys on the panel, Pixel Game Squad, OWAS, PNX, all these guys that are in the chat, Keith and other Keith and other Keith. I mean, how many Keiths are there? And gaming. We are so blessed beyond belief that you guys would want to join us. Before we head out next week, Pac-Man Case, Retro Wolf, Nintendo 64, Underrated Games, and then finishing off the month with RNG Gamer and Retro Kart Collector with the hardest games of all time. And then we jump into music. And Mort, I know you love music. I know you guys love movies. You guys ever want to be on another show? It doesn't have to be video games. You're welcome to come back on. You're a great guest. Thank you for being here. Anybody in the chat, if you want to be on, message us on Instagram or Facebook. But before we head out, you guys, first, let's go, Jay. Tell everybody what's going on with your channel, what's coming up next, maybe a direction you want to go. Invite anybody that hasn't gone there yet to come in the Summit Squad over to your place. Tell them what's going on.
Yeah, please do. I'd love to have you guys come over. My channel is Square Pegs. It's at Square Pegs here on YouTube. I've got a couple videos coming out every week. It's typically every Tuesday and Friday. This week's going to be delayed because tonight's usually my editing night. I just like to talk about games. I like to chat with y'all, and love to have an interactive community. Next thing coming up for me, my next big event is Midwest Gaming Classic in Milwaukee the first weekend. Really looking forward to that. So hope to see some folks there or over on the channel.
Nice.
And thank you so much, Square Pegs. Jay. Thank you for jumping in and the last minute getting in here. I knew it would make it epic along with Mort. And Mort, shout your place out, man. What's coming up next? What you got going on? What can you share with us and tell them how to come to your show?
Well, thank you guys for having me. I've loved being here and really am honored and appreciate the chance to goof around and hang out tonight. So thank you. And hello to everyone in the chat, Manny, PNX, just the whole crew, Retro Kart. I love this crew. This is such a great crew. For the channel, there's some really fun stuff planned. Right now, I've just concluded last year's sort of storyline, which was finishing up the manual hunt. I have a couple of game hunting videos that are coming, but it's leading towards a much bigger story. There's a bit of a plot twist that I will tease that is we're turning into a little bit of a short film. That's all. That's what I'll say about that. And so it's scripted, written, and we're just picking our shoot days right now. And as soon as we do, I cannot wait to share that with everyone because we're going to do something really different. And I'm hopeful that you'll appreciate it. It's one of those things where like 5 people will watch it or it will be not 5 people. I don't know. So, but thank you. Next conventions are SoCal Gaming Expo and Game On Expo for sure. And there's talk of a few others, but I'll wait till we get closer to those ones as well. So thank you all for having me. I'm truly honored and thankful to be here.
Hey, so I know a lot of you guys are out there in the gaming world and in the gaming channels and the conventions, but Andy and I would love to get connected with other conventions. We are really in the Southeast Louisiana mainly for like we've got 5 on our docket, and we come in and we do Nerd Church. So if you guys want to share that with other people while you're hanging around, we would appreciate that. And we love to just share. We just love to share what we do and having a good time. Everybody out there, every Thursday. Usually, this was a late start because we have some guys on the West Coast hanging out with us, but we're usually at 7 Central, 8 Eastern. And man, we love you guys. We thank you guys so much. Go check out all these channels. If you're just, hey, Misadventures of Team AJ, they're great folks too. Right now, while we're saying goodnight, everybody put your channel in the chat that anybody can go share. And we'll see you guys next Thursday. It has been a fantastic time. Go and vote. It's your right to vote. Go vote on Instagram and on, don't forget the Tetris chat. If y'all vote Andy was a winner, I'm going to be upset. Okay.
Let's go. Let's go. Come on.
Tetris and Pac-Man. Here we go. All right.
I mean, listen, hey, we just need the votes, really, is all we need here. I'm used to losing. I haven't won since I think maybe the first week we did this poll thing. So it's okay. It just is what it is. I'm just leaning into that now. So anyway, I think it's Kirk, is it time to say goodnight?
It is
Everything
time
good?
to tell everybody good night. I hate to say it, but it's late and it's time to go home. Oh, wait.
Do you guys have a
Andy,
song? Do you have a song that we sing together? Is that how you said this goes for the goodnight part?
Andy, one last thing. Are we doing a Friday morning fellowship?
You are. You are.
Oh yeah,
I'm
you are substituting tomorrow.
I'm
Hey,
a
but I'm
substitute
off
art
tomorrow.
teacher
I'm
tomorrow.
not teaching tomorrow because we have some kind of weird winter break here in Georgia. So tomorrow I'll be live in the morning doing a Friday morning fellowship, and we can chat if you want to come and join us. But yeah, tell everybody good night, Andy.
All right. Thank you guys for joining us tonight. Thank you to the Summit Squad. Thank you to Jay and to Mort for joining us. But let's say goodnight like we always do. This is the Rushmore Show, where it's all about your top 4
and nothing more.
Nothing more.
Peace.